up, ladies and gentlemen? It's time for the panels. This is the show where we get together with people we don't even know. Well, we do know each other a little bit now because we have been speaking to each other for a few weeks now. We got a great cast on board. I'm your host, Archie Lee. We're going to get around and tell everybody the cast right now. We have the queen herself, Miss LaKrysia, is in the building. Also, we have the man who's responsible for some of the most left field jokes that you will hear on this telecast. Ladies and gentlemen, Shawn Bender. This would be where I would make some type of rock star or long hair joke or something like that. He may be smoking, but he is in Vegas. Ladies and gentlemen, Atari Monroe. And of course, making her second appearance of the regular season, give it up for VonDoom.
Yeah.
That was my Archie Lee impression. If any of you guys didn't pick up on that, if it was a good impression, show some love. If it was a bad impression, still show some love. But we got a few good ones today. VA Verse is probably going to be joining us later. The first one that we have put together here is what makes you an adult, or I suppose at what point should you be treated and tried as an adult in society?
I don't think age says it, because I think there is some people who are 15 and by all means an adult. And obviously in ancient society, like Native society, they used to take their 15-year-olds out in the woods and say, hey, you're a man now, spend the night with the bears. And then also there's some 27-year-olds who are barely becoming adults. When you hit that maturity point, so it's not necessarily age, it's actual like when you're able to cook and clean and take care of yourself, when you're able to provide for yourself, so when you're able to get into a job and stuff and provide for yourself. I think it's a lot of different factors, but I definitely don't think it's 18 years old or anything.
And for me, like, that's kind of hard because, like Shawn said, like maturity, age, but then at the same time, there's certain things that like children can't do. And granted, I understand that there's kids who have taken on the responsibility of taking care of themselves, but were they really okay? Like, okay, they were surviving, they were making things happen, they were, paying bills, but were they really okay mentally? Okay, were they? So that's hard to me. So for me, I feel like an adult at some point, well, for me, like, I look at it as being a mom, and I feel like at 26, I think that's a good age for kids to leave. And I say that because that gives them an opportunity to complete school. If they plan on going to school, it gives them the opportunity to save up money to make sure that they have an account that gives them the ability to have a year's worth of bills saved up. It gives them ability to make sure that they have a car, that they're set to actually go out into the world and they're prepared. And that if they do fall, then they have some type of cushion to play with. So I think that the age of adulthood actually should be raised from 18 to like maybe 24, 25, somewhere like that.
Yeah, people mature at different ages, but there are certain things that you still have to factor in. Like a 14-year-old is never going to be an adult. When I was 14, I did have a lot of responsibility. I was mature, and I did think I could like date grown men and shit like that. But at the end of the day, I was still a child, and that does affect you when you try to force a child to grow up too early or put too much responsibility on them. Even if you're 18, you might still be in high school. You still are playing a child when you're in school and have to listen to your teachers and everything. And then if you're coming home paying bills and living on your own, that's a weird dichotomy that does affect how you grow up. So at the end of the day, you're not, I don't think, a full adult until you can legally, emotionally, and mentally be on your own.
Isn't it crazy how when we were like 16, we used to be like, oh, I'm so mature, I'm more mature than people around me, or blah, blah, blah. And then you'd be like, you turn 18 and you're definitely like, oh, nobody could tell me anything. I'm an adult. Like you and your friends are hanging out and you're like, oh, we're so grown. But then like now when you look at 18-year-olds, you're like, who, like, where are
I was
these
gonna
kids'
say, and then you
parents?
turn
Like,
22 or 24, and then you're like, whoa, I'm super dumb. Like I'm not even like. I think it's a process everybody goes through, which is why I think it makes sense that it should be raised to an older age too. Like you shouldn't, because most of us feel that way, like you said, when you're 16 or 18, or we feel like we're fucking superhumans, you know. But then once you get to like 22-ish, 25-ish, like a lot of times you come to a realization that you're like, I was really stupid for a lot of years, and it put me in a really shitty position, you know. Where if it was like, I think what LaKrysia is saying has a lot to it, because, and it ties into what Kai's saying also, with when you're in high school, you're still being treated as if you're still kind of being treated as a dependent when you're in like a school situation. And college is just a continuation of that, right? Like, so especially if we could get to a political place where everybody could feasibly go to college regardless of their financial situation, if college is still part of the growing process, then yeah, you shouldn't be considered an adult until like 22-ish, or when most people would get done with college. Or like you said, the age that you come to where you realize, like the age that you start to think like a fucking adult, that's usually somewhere between like 22 and 25. Like it could be sooner with females, like 20, because their frontal lobe develops a little bit fucking faster. So if you have female biology, like it will occur a little bit faster naturally, but it wouldn't be fair to make a law that's like girls and guys have a different age. So I think 22 would be a really fair, like 22 would be logical. It's like the average of when the male and female frontal lobe develop. So 22, you know.
you guys remember like earlier this year or last year when they raised the age of buying tobacco to 21? I thought that was so, like, it made so much sense to me, but like if I was 18, I'd be shocked. I'd be like, I'm an adult. No.
But here's the thing, to me that doesn't make sense. And you know what? Okay, so I'm gonna say it like this, because I know people aren't gonna agree with me. I don't think that at 18 years old you should be able to buy liquor or be able to buy tobacco. But if you can't buy liquor or tobacco, you sure in the hell shouldn't be able to register to go into the military. Like, I don't agree with that at all. If you're old enough,
or be tried as an adult and sentenced as an adult.
If you're old enough to go into the military, then you should be old enough to make the decision to buy alcohol or tobacco for yourself. Otherwise, you need to raise the military age as well. That's how I feel about that.
I think you should, because that's the same thing. Like, just like Kai said, like you can make mistakes or have things happen to you from situations you put yourself in during those ages that permanently affect you. Like, you don't think the military is one of those things? Like, the military like dramatizes people and gives them PTSD. And so yeah, absolutely, I would say the military age should be raised with all of that. Because when people can go to the military at 18, they can go do something that they never would have done once their brain was fully developed. And now they've gone out and they've got like an amputated arm or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, other countries graduate high school and take out all these student loans willy-nilly and fuck up their lives that way.
Right. I got fucked up with loans too from under 22 and credit cards. And yeah.
I graduated high school. I started college when I was 17 years old. And so, like, I took out stupid loans because I'm supposed to be an adult, but I'm 17. Like, just a year ago, just a few months prior, I still had to listen to my mom. I still had a bedtime, you know? So how am I supposed to then make this huge financial decision that affects the entire rest of my life?
And I'm surprised they even allowed you to take out a student loan and enter into a contract, because you can't even enter into a legal binding contract if you're not 18 years old. So that's very interesting to me that they even allowed you to do that.
Yeah. No, because I was a minor, I had to have a co-signer. So I didn't have to ask my mom's permission. I just had to have a co-signer. And because I was a first generation college student, I basically just told her, like, hey, I need you to sign this so I could go to college. And she said, oh, okay, I'll do it. So now I have a ridiculous amount of student loans because they expected a child to be able to map out her future and make this huge financial decision.
Well, actually, no. You had an adult sign for you, so they had expected the adult who signed without reading the paperwork to be responsible for it.
It's only on you until it's not, and then it would be on the cosigner.
Hospital bills or anything.
It still affects my credit score, and it still affects my life.
No, and it's still a perfect example of why I don't think we should even be able to go get these huge loans or big credit cards with a cosign or not. Because
I agree.
It's just weird as fuck when people's minds aren't fully developed.
I mean, we had gotten one for my guy's kid, and it's like a green light card where he can add money to it. Or, you know, if a parent adds you as a authorized user to help build your credit, like that would be something that I think a parent should do. Yeah. And not necessarily the kid. You know what I mean? Like apply for the credit card for the child, like if they have that type of program. And then that way you can monitor that credit card and also be helping to build that child's credit. You know what I mean? Right. Like that would be something good. Because then the parent can monitor it as well as be building their credit as well as their child's credit.
Do you guys think that people normally pay their hospital bills or student loans, or if you get any type of fees or fines from the government or whatever, like do you think people normally pay them? Because the only one I've paid is like the jail ones.
Medical bills, usually when you're doing certain things, like medical bills don't really impact your credit. They really don't. Most people look over or look past medical bills. Now, student loans is a big deal because student loans will impact your credit a whole bunch. Like I am on a income contingent. And they literally, because now mind you, I reapplied and everything, but they didn't want to take the income proof that I had. And so since they didn't want to take the income proof that I had, they put it in the system that I did not recertify my loans or recertify my payment plan or whatever. And so they marked my credit. Like my credit literally dropped like 70 fucking points. For like 3 months, 70 fucking points. I was pissed. I even tried to fight it. I do need to contact the Department of Education because that's a bullshit because they should have took my shit. But it's just crazy. Student loans impact you a whole lot. You have to stay upon your student loans.
Private loans are way worse than the federal ones.
Are they?
Yeah.
I don't know all you guys' backstory, but I don't think any of you did as bad as me. I got student loans to go to art school. That's
I got him to go to culinary school. That's just bad. I got loans for a vocational. Mine's all the way over to the collections to where I couldn't get any of my tax return last year. I took it all for that. So I knocked out some of my student loans, but I'm not going to get a tax return for probably a couple more years. Like,
I paid for a degree that I can't really even transfer over the credits. I can only use my credits as electives.
Oh, shit.
Well, see, all of this stuff with college majors tells you that an 18-year-old is not an adult. I went to like the most expensive college with no major in mind when I selected it. Because again, I'm 17 years old. I had no idea what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Most kids don't know what they want to do at 18. Like you really don't know your purpose in life at 18. You really
don't know what I wanted to do until like 25. Yeah,
like, I wholeheartedly wanted to be an attorney. Went to school to be a paralegal, you know, did all that work and then turned around and I'm in totally different fields. I'm like in medical doing in mental health, you know, totally two different fields.
Yeah, I think that's really common because majority of people, probably 85% of people, you don't fully know what you want to do for the rest of your life at that point. So it's just silly to fucking jump right into college and then spend a bunch of money for that and then end up in positions like apparently all four of us have ended up in. Just like I went straight vocational like Shawn did. And after like 3 months into that, I was like, I would never, ever want to cook for a profession. I'm like, fuck, and this cost me like thousands of dollars to come here. And you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, shit.
Imagine if you finished
a free trial.
Like 32 grand, I think, or some shit.
Imagine if you finished and you're working at Denny's. Like, how mad would you be when you're making people's grants?
No, that was like, one of the things I almost just got up and left that day. Because the first day, our head chef says, 80% of master chefs didn't go to culinary school. They just started right from the bottom. And I'm like, well, the fuck? I'm like, what are we all paying all this money for? You know what I mean?
That's so why are we here? Because I wanted to go to LaKrysia Blue. I had actually started culinary school when I was.
That's where I went. I went in Scottsdale.
And I wanted to go to LaKrysia Blue in Las Vegas. And I went and I was like, what the fuck? Like I looked at the prices, and I was like, that is ridiculous. The pricing was just out of this fucking
the
world.
one thing,
Even for a certificate 9-month program, the pricing was out of this fucking world for
How much was it?
It actually
like I
makes a
said, it
lot
was like
of
32
sense.
grand for the one semester that I did, or the little bit of time that I did.
Crazy.
And I learned quickly that, like I said, I wouldn't want to like cook professionally, but I do enjoy cooking. So the one cool thing about their expensive ass facilities is like those kitchens are off the chain, and you can just like use them after class and shit. So I did enjoy that, like having like a high scale, high tech kitchen, because you could just go in there and get down.
I think that's the
on
only
shit.
benefit of college is the equipment you get to use, because
Mhm.
at the art school I went to, they had like a green screen room, which was like, it was like a professional movie lot. And then they had a studio where it was like, if you know, like the foam padding that's usually in studios, but people use it in patches because it's expensive. They had all the walls covered in that. And when you walked in there, it felt like you were underwater or something, because it just went so silent. Like it was crazy
Right.
cool.
When it's full soundproof, it feels like your chemistry changes when you step inside. It's just like perfect flatness. Like if you stand on perfect flatness, it gives you like some type of feel, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, I
You're
think
usually
there's
never on
other
perfectly
benefits
flat
of
ground.
going to college. However, I know high school dropouts who make more money than, people with degrees. So I think college is dependent upon the person and what the person's abilities is, and not only what their abilities is, but what their interest is and what it is that they're trying to do, what their overall goal or outcome is in life.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, that's the same as like I was saying with the vocational school. Most of the people that make the money in the fields of the vocational schools, a lot of them never went to vocational school. They just jumped in the field and taught themselves. You know what I mean?
Right.
I think
And
you
that's
wouldn't
like
know
really
what,
need to
quicker
go
that
to
like
way.
I
school.
never went to school for psychology. I never went to school for mental health. I went to school literally for paralegal services, but I got into the mental health field by working with people at home doing direct care work. And then as I started working in the field, I just got experience, and they used my experience pretty much to cover the degree that they're looking for in the field.
Right. Yeah, a lot of employers would always rather take the experience than just somebody that's been trained but never actually in it, you know?
Yeah, I don't think
Right.
that's always the case though, because if I went to
It's
get brain
not.
surgery and they told me the same speech, like I never even went to school, I just learned this on my cousins when I was practicing as a kid. I'd be like, let me go ahead and find
Well,
another
think
doctor.
about this though, Shawn. People didn't have doctors before. People were literally doing things on their own. So I don't know. Like even with brain surgery, I don't do too much westernized medicine now. So I don't know how it would feel. I don't really want surgery done on my body. So that to me, I'm like, we have natural healing elements that we can do where we can eat better, we can change our diet, we can expose ourselves to natural things like the sun to get more vitamin D in order to heal some of the things. And a lot of the illnesses and diseases that we have running through our bodies comes from things that we eat.
There are still like black market doctors. Like there are people that conduct surgeries and shit that people fucking go to and let
Oh
them
yeah,
do
that's why people go
surgery
to
on them.
Mexico.
So yeah, you probably wouldn't get hired at a hospital, but you could probably still be a brain surgeon if you really fucking wanted, you know what I
Does
mean?
anybody remember that kid who was caught, like
I
he
mean,
got in trouble
doulas
for working in
doulas
the
deliver
hospital?
babies, and they're not obstetricians, and they deliver babies.
Yeah, I don't
They
know
do
how hard
home
that
births
is.
for women. You know what I
True.
mean?
Yeah, you
Yeah.
could
I
still
don't know how
find a
hard
way
that
to
is if
shimmy
you've
your
done
way
it a
in the
couple times.
field and
And the
actually learn enough to
education for a
conduct it.
doula is you don't have to be very educated to be a doula. Like I checked on the certification programs for doulas just to see, because that's something that I would like to do. I would really like to deliver a baby. I can't do medical stuff. I don't really like blood, gore, and all that type. But I don't know. I think delivering a baby would be kind of cool. So I
Yeah.
checked into it.
Think
It'd be
about
And you don't
crazy,
really
yeah, like the beginning of life, and yeah, it would be nice.
yeah, hell yeah. Like, I don't know. I think that would be awesome.
That would be
Like,
cool, yeah. But you could
Are you
also
talking
just
about
be like a
working
brain surgeon's assistant, Shawn. You could get a position where you don't need the qualifications, and then you're in there learning and right there seeing it firsthand. And You know, I know it was an example and you're not an inspiring brain surgeon, but I'm just saying, like, even in those examples, you could still find a way to get yourself on the team and get your way into the field so you can start learning firsthand without the college route. You know what I mean? There's still always positions in there, like she's saying, like with the people who deliver the babies. There's jobs like that for every position where it's like you don't have to be a surgeon to be on a surgeon's team, you know?
A patient's not going to be reassured if you say, "Oh, I was a brain surgeon's assistant and I practiced on cadavers in my off time," or something like some cool backstory. They're not going to be like impressed. They're going to be like, "No, find me somebody who went to school." You know.
Apparently, there are people who do it because they're like Atari said, there are still underground doctors who are
exactly. Yeah, there's still really like broken, desperate people that will go to them. There's still really paranoid people who just don't trust any doctor in the system that will go to them. Like, there's still a population of people that will go to somebody with the exact credentials that you're saying, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And if you're upfront and honest with them and they choose to do that, that's their own choice, you know what I mean?
I guess you have a point. People will go to anybody as long as the price is right.
I mean,
people
have
go get
always
these
done
tattoos
that with
and
tattoos.
They look bad.
Right. People will get tattoos from their fucking friends like that. Like, people do that with medical shit too. Like, people go to just random people to get like plastic surgery and like boob jobs, and they don't always go to
think about psychology. I remember, you know, being 14 years old and having a psychologist ask me about my life. And my question to her was like, tell me about your life. And so she goes to tell me about how she was born with this silver spoon in her mouth and has never had to struggle. And I'm like, why am I going to tell you about my life so that you can judge me when you ain't never been through shit? So like with psychology, I feel like in that field, it's better for a person to have experience because that person can actually relate to their client and they have more empathy for their clients. And then they're able to work with their clients better and understand exactly what their client needs.
Yeah, that's kind of odd if they've lived like a privileged life and then you're trying to not only confide in them, but like pour your heart out to that. Yeah. That
and Shawn, there's a whole lot of people who are educated and still dumb as hell. Dumb as hell. I met a girl who had a master's degree in human resources and had absolutely no common sense.
Right. They're essentially just book smart. I mean, there's people who are really good at comprehension and retaining facts, but they're not like logically or intellectually smart. You know what I mean? So they're not smart on the fly within the moments if it's not things that they're like on the fly shit. If they don't have studied information that they've retained, then they're like a fish out of water. Like, and yeah, you can be super book smart like that and really good at retaining information and be a really dull person at the same time.
Yeah, the school I went to was a really big medical school, and I would not trust half of them to operate on me. Stupidest people I have ever met.
Right. I was going to say, I've also known people that have gone to medical school or been in the medical field where I'm like, fuck, these are the people that we have as doctors at our hospitals. You know, like, it's like if I knew nothing about this hospital and I did trust you and I knew what work you've done on brain surgery studies, and it's like, well, fuck, this is a brain issue. I'm probably going to die if nothing happens. What the fuck? You know what I mean? I'll let Shawn try. Because, yeah, a lot of the doctors are there for the wrong reasons, too, like similar to a lot of positions. But a lot of doctors are there just for the money as well. They don't care the conversion rate of how many people they save, or, you know what I mean?
And, you know, it's funny because I met a psychiatrist one time and he was OCD. So I used to wonder, like, all the time, like, how the hell he would work with the kids. Because, you know, kids are always all over the place touching shit.
Yeah, he's going and fixing shit behind him. And
right. Like, the kids walk into his office, and as soon as they walk into his office, he's like, sit down and don't move. Like, do not move out of your spot. Because he doesn't even want you, like, in his, like, nowhere near his space, his desk, his nothing. But he was so good with the kids. And I was like, you know, that's like kind of one of those things where like, okay, you want to relate to somebody, but it's like, you're kind of extra weird. And I don't know if I really want to deal with you. Like, how do you want to fix me, but then you want me to stay still like I'm some type of robot and just sit here and just stay?
All I know is my pilot better have went to school. That's somebody who needs to go to school.
And hell, there's pilots out there who had never gone to school to fly either. They just took it up as hobbies and learned how to fly as a hobby. My son never went to school. He flew his first plane at the age of 13.
Wow. All right, I'll let him fly me, but that's about it.
You know?
Yeah,
I was
people
nervous.
fly with outdated credentials though. That came up with the Kobe shit after Kobe passed. That like the dude wasn't even legally supposed to be flying. Who was flying him? Like his shit was like suspended or no, his license wasn't suspended, but there's like rules to when you should fly, and like the weather patterns and shit. He wasn't even legally supposed to be flying.
Yeah, he wasn't certified for those
So
kind
it's
of
like,
that kind of weather.
yeah, every position there's people flying in situations they shouldn't be flying, and there's
And then you have people who are actually have gone to school and who are still receiving lawsuits and being sued for
right.
malpractice.
And he was trained.
With
Yeah,
unethical
Kobe's pilot
trainings,
wasn't
you know?
just some guessing how to do it. You know, he was schooled for it and everything. But that could have been a fucking flight with hundreds of people. Like how many people does a regular flight hold? Like that dude could have been driving one of those. You know what I mean? Flights just kind of scare me in general. Like I would rather just Greyhound across the whole fucking
Me too, Atari.
country.
I'm
Like,
with you.
I don't mind. The Greyhounds have
Wi-Fi.
Wi-Fi and shit now. Like I just
So do you
chill,
think-
write songs, write jokes. Like I
Do
can
you
get
think
material.
airplanes are more dangerous than cars?
Of course, yeah.
But so many more people die in car accidents.
Yeah, but it's
I don't
Oh.
think airplanes are more dangerous than cars.
Because they can land them with like one engine and stuff. Like
There's
they're
more
made
car
pretty safe.
accidents than there are plane accidents. I do, however, think that when their plane accidents are more deadly
Yeah.
than car accidents. Like you have very little chance of survival after a plane crash.
Yeah,
But a
I
lot
walked
has to
away from
happen.
car crashes.
That's
A
true,
lot
yeah.
has to happen for it to be like a tragic plane accident because you can land a plane under a lot of conditions.
You know, now a cruise ship, I think I would rather go on a cruise than go flying because I know how to swim. I can't fly though. I don't have wings. So I
Right,
think
you
I-
can't stop
somebody to
yourself.
parachute
I
you.
mean, I guess you could buy a parachute and you could just,
Uh.
have your parachute on your back under your shirt or whatever. But yeah. I don't
Well, I'm
know.
kind of scared of heights too, so that doesn't work very well. Then I would have to jump out of a damn plane, scared of heights with a fucking parachute.
Oh, okay.
I'd 100 times rather be in a plane accident than a submarine accident. That would be scary, bro. A submarine accident would kill me. Like, man,
Why
I'd
would
die
you
from
be in a
anxiety.
submarine?
I don't think I would ever be in a submarine. First of
Yeah, I
all,
don't think regular people. You'd have to be in like the Navy or something. I don't think regular people end up in
Yeah,
submarines.
I'm not getting in no damn
You're watching
submarine.
too
I'm
many
sorry.
cartoons or something. Yeah, you're not gonna just end up on a
First of all,
submarine tour
no.
one
Well,
day.
You're not
they
gonna
do have
survive a
they do have
submarine
underwater
accident.
like
It's
whale
fuck
tours where you
that.
can go see whales and stuff. They let
No.
you go on submarines, like small
No, I'm not
submersible
doing
craft.
it. I'm not doing it. That's a death trap. Period.
Yeah.
Point blank.
Yeah,
That thing
no,
starts fucking leaking, and it leaks too fast, and guess what? You're gonna drown.
Yeah,
No,
that's what I'm saying. Drowning would be
no.
suffocation or drowning would outweigh every kind of death. I think that's the worst death is suffocation or
I
drowning.
think no. I think burning in a fire.
But that's suffocating. You die from suffocating.
Mm,
No, you don't. You can die from a
mm,
few different things before suffocation if you're literally like amidst a fire. You just go into complete shock and die far before you have trouble breathing.
Has anybody ever heard of that like iron pig thing that they used to put people in? It was like a big statue of a pig and it was iron, and then they would light it on fire till it was red hot and put people in there. That's horrible.
For what? It was like a torture device.
Yeah,
that
it was
was
like
like
a
torture.
way to execute criminals like in
Yeah.
a inhumane way.
Huh. No, I've never heard of that.
Yeah, so
It's
that
really
sounds so
fucked
bad.
up.
Oh wow.
sounds cruel and inhumane.
Or burning people at the stake. That sounds horrible too.
Yeah, what year is that from? You should pull that up so we can talk about it
That's
a little
witches.
bit later.
Didn't they burn witches at the
Yeah, what
stake?
is that? That's got to be similar to
So since we're talking about witches, let's go on ahead and go into the next subject about spirituality. So has anybody had a spiritual experience or some type of supernatural experience? I know you have, Kai. I know you have.
So
I think Shawn's touched on
my-
it before too.
my family is from a part of South Carolina where they do a lot of hoodoo. So I feel like I have a lot of that in my family, spirituality, witchcraft, whatever you want to call it. I've done some light spell work. I put a few niggas in jars, little light hexes. But all of the women on my mom's side of the family have like clairvoyant dreams where you kind of see the future. I used to think it was bullshit when I was a kid, but I've had it happen to me a few times where I had a dream and then a month later, the exact thing that happened in my dream plays out. And I don't know how to describe it, but it feels different. Like if I have a dream, I wake
Right.
up knowing that it's going to happen.
Right. I understand that because, and it's weird because I have the gift of clairvoyance as well. And I have visions, I have dreams, but I also, I have a connection to like the dead, and which is really weird to me. But I had a dream one time that my daughter had drowned in the bathtub, and my grandmother kept telling me that I was pregnant. And I was like, no, Granny, I have a feeling that something is going to happen to my baby around water. I was like, but in the bathtub, I said, I don't think she's going to drown in the bathtub, but something is going to happen to her. And it was crazy because about 3 months later, me, my husband, we were all in the pool with the kids. And my daughter was in her boat and I was holding her. And my son had called me. And when I turned around to talk to my son and I took my eyes off of her. I didn't think that her boat was going to tip over. And then he starts screaming, Mommy, Mommy, the baby's at the bottom of the pool. But when I froze. My brother-in-law had got her, and like exactly what had happened in my dream, although it was a pool, she was okay. Like she blinked her eyes, she started back to playing, like she acted like nothing had happened, just like what had happened in my dream. So it was kind of odd, but it was at that moment, I didn't know how to respond because it was flashing in my head and I was just stuck. And I was like, I don't know what to do. And mind you, I'm CPR first aid certified. And I was just like stuck, like, what the hell? So that's pretty scary. And I've had a couple of those experiences, and so do my children.
Yeah, when the real deal emergency situations happen, like sometimes it's way more like you practice in your mind, like what if something was to happen right now, if there's a fire, like just naturally it's like survival instinct, like you think through situations all the time of what possibilities could happen. But when it actually happens, like you're very tempted to just freeze up, like you were saying. It's not likely that you're just gonna jump right into action and like be ready unless adrenaline hits you. But if you don't get that adrenaline rush, you're just gonna freeze up pretty much.
Well, my brother-in-law did. So he rushed, he was emergent. Like he knew that it was an emergent situation. I froze. And I don't know if I froze because like I said, I had so much going through my head at that time. Like it was scary, but at the same time, there was so much flashing in my head.
I think when you've seen it in a dream before, that, I don't know, that makes it a little scarier and a little weirder. Because you're like, is this going to play out exactly how it happened in my dream? Or do I have the power to change it?
I haven't in like a dramatic form. I've felt spiritual energy like in church or during large praying sessions or something like that. But I think that's more energy. You know what I mean? Like that's more feeling it from an energy standpoint. If it's a bunch of people putting energy into one thing, the energy. Yeah, so I haven't done anything, huh?
I said, but energy is spiritual.
Right. That's what I'm saying. But I don't nothing supernatural, or like super dramatic. Like, I had God talk to me or had a dream of God, nothing like that. So, and definitely nothing supernatural.
I've had one of those experiences too. And that was really scary because I was driving down the street and something was talking to me very loudly and very clearly. And it was a trip because it was correcting me. And and I've been struggling with this habit for so long, but my pastor was dealing with me about smoking tobacco. And I was driving down the street and the music was off and I was to the stop sign. I'm just sitting there and all of a sudden this loud voice was like, look at you. I was like looking around the car like, what the fuck? Who's talking to me? And I'm like, look at me, like, what are you talking about? And the voice said again, very loud and clear, look at you. And I'm like, what is that supposed to mean? Look at me. What am I doing? And it was like, how do you expect how do you expect your children to be obedient when you're disobedient? And I was like, ooh, okay. Threw the cigarette out the window. I was like, damn.
I thought she was about to tell us how she booped God.
Hell no, I ain't booping God. But I did have an argument with God in my dream one time.
Yeah, it sounded like it was about to be like an X-Men fight. Like LaKrysia steps out the car and fights the spirit. Yeah. It's like the scary
was
movie
crazy.
series. Yeah, LaKrysia hops out to fight a ghost. It's like when she gets out of the TV and then she fights her. Cindy, this bitch is coming out of the TV screen.
Nah, but spiritual encounters for sure. In Job Corps, there was like Native Americans, and they used to play with Ouija boards. And one time they did like a session. It was like 6 of them. They went in this room and they played with the Ouija board. And then, like when we were headed to bed, we heard people running past the room, and then like to check, and we were like alone there. It was like us and them in the other room. And then that we just like heard footsteps running past the room, and then later we heard them running above us. And there was nothing above us. There wasn't like a room or nothing. It was just like the roof. So I mean, those are explainable things. But another time, I don't know why I was just like the way I was back then, but one time I wanted to do that Bloody Mary thing, where you say it in the mirror. And this story is crazy. So we went into the bathroom. There's like a general population bathroom.
At Job Corps?
Yeah, Job Corps.
Okay.
So we went into the
Like
mirror.
one big toilet and everybody just stands around, or it's just like a bathroom
not
at
that at
like
all.
a call center. Or something.
That would be absurd, but definitely like stalls and
Everybody
stuff like
has their
that.
arms around each other.
It just reaches over and aims to the other person. No, it wasn't like that. But no, so we went, me and my roommates, it was 2 of us, 3 of us. It was 2 roommates and me. We went into the bathroom mirror, and then we said it. And like we were saying it slow because we were getting nervous. Like the first time we said it, we were confident. We were like Bloody Mary. And then like the second time, it was like a little bit more scary because like we had went around everybody's room and asked if they would let us do it. And like everybody was superstitious and they're like, no way. You're not doing that in my room. And so like we kind of got nervous because we're like, why are we doing this? Like, this is stupid. So we said it the second time and it was like, cool, like nothing happened. But then it's like the third time when something's supposed to happen. And so then like we were all hesitant, but then finally we said it. We're like Bloody Mary. And then like we seen like a face print, like if you like press your face up against the glass and take your face off, there'll be an imprint of a face. We saw that like how the shower like steams up the mirror, that kind of imprint like grew across the mirror of like a woman's face. And we freaked out and ran back to our room. And then we seen a couple more things that night. The same footsteps things was happening. And then we saw like, so we were all freaked out and hiding under our sheets and stuff. And then we were looking like, for some reason, like we were looking off into the corner of the room and we seen like this child spirit thing like appear, like just sitting up in the corner of the ceiling. And it just like freaked us all out. We all jumped in the same bed and we were just there for like an hour. It's pretty crazy.
Bloody Mary, huh?
Yeah.
Did you do the Candy Man one too, Shawn?
Oh, no, I ain't doing that. I ain't doing none of that stuff anymore.
Do you remember that show on Nickelodeon, Are You Afraid of the Dark? Did you remember Are You Afraid of the Dark verse? A couple of those really scared the shit out of me when I was younger.
Yes.
See, I don't watch scary movies. I take those to be like supernatural and spiritual, and I feel
it
like
was like a scary series, and each
Yeah.
episode was like a different premise.
Yeah, it was.
That was a kid. That was.
But it was made for kids, but yeah.
Yeah, it was like on Nickelodeon.
Uh-huh. And I
I'm
was a
scared
kid
of
at
the
the time,
dark.
obviously, but some of those episodes scared me a lot. Like there was one that was like this dude in overalls out in the woods. I can't really remember the whole premise, but I remember that one scared me for like years and years.
And see, you know what? Being the fact that I've dealt with this like since I was a kid, I don't do like scary like movies like that. I don't let them get into my spirit because I have effects of those afterwards, like really bad effects of those afterwards. So I have never done those types of movies, and it's weird because my kids love them. They watch all those movies, and I just don't do it.
I
Never
love
have.
horror movies. I love them.
No, I can't do scary movies. Like it depends. Like when we watched it, there was certain scenes like all these bugs came out and stuff, and it freaked out everybody that was with me watching it. But that stuff isn't scary because it's like, even though it's rational fears or whatever, like stuff, certain stuff doesn't scare me, but like spiritual stuff, like possession and stuff, that stuff freaks me out.
Now, see, I like watching that stuff. I can watch stuff about possession.
Oh, okay. Have you seen The Exorcism of Emily Rose? That
I've
shit's
seen
hard.
The
I like
Exorcist.
that's one of my favorite movies. That's a good movie, Shawn. The Exorcism of Emily Rose. That's
I
like
would,
a
I wouldn't do it. That'd be
oh
scary.
man, it's a spiritual based one.
But like Insidious, I watched Insidious, and then like they were going into the spirit realm, and there was all these like certain things, and like I've had dream sequences like that to where I've seen stuff like that, like spirit realms and stuff like that, and it's like really freaky. Especially like I tried DMT one time, which that's a crazy story. But there's like a lot of people will tell stories about when they do drugs like that, and there's like a flower that you see, like a tunnel in a flower, and I saw all that and I broke through it, and like everything was real creepy and demonic in there, and that's what made me decide like no more hard drugs, because like what I saw was like life-changing. It was like
Well, DMT you wouldn't want to do really multiple times anyway, but that's
the hell is
one
that?
that oh, it's like it's kind of like shrooms. Like it's made from a natural extract, and it basically takes away all your blockers that don't allow you to see the spiritual world. Like it like connects you. I don't even know how to fucking explain it, but it's like
So it opens your
shrooms on
third
like a
eye.
whole. It's like it's like shrooms on a whole nother fucking level, and opens your third eye. And people all explain it as like a journey. It's just a different journey for different people. You know what I mean? And it's like shrooms or weed, it's a natural thing. So people assume that it really is like designed to connect us more to the spiritual world. But yeah, I don't think it's something you should do a bunch of times. I just think it's something everybody should probably try once if
yeah,
they
they
can.
told me.
Yeah, I don't want to
They-
see some shit that I don't want to see, so I'm not
Yeah,
gonna.
yeah. Stay away from hallucinogens and stuff unless you're in like a good place.
I have sleep paralysis.
I haven't
Have
done
any of you ever
DMT.
gotten that?
What happens in sleep paralysis? Because I hear people see real similar things, like an old lady type of character and stuff like that. Is there like stuff that you see that's across the board? Everybody sees it.
For me, it's always more like a demonic type figure. But how you say like the old lady? When I was a kid, I used to think I was seeing Freddy Krueger because I would watch the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, and that's what I always thought it was until I explained it to my mom, and then she was like, "No, that's sleep paralysis." But it's always like something on the edge of my bed or in the corner of my bedroom, and you feel like you're awake. You're not quite sure if you're awake or asleep, really, and you're basically paralyzed. You can't move, can't scream or anything.
Watch the movie
wow.
Evil, Shawn. Evil explains that. It's on Netflix. It's a movie, and it actually talks about sleep paralysis. I've had that similar experiences too. And like she said, it's almost like you can't move, but it's not the same for everybody, because my dad had an experience of sleep paralysis, and it was only his mother coming back to talk to him. And she stopped him from moving because he was trying to scream because he was scared, and she didn't want him to be scared. So she like stopped him from moving, and he wasn't able to move. But it was just my grandmother, and he had that experience as well.
Okay,
And I used to experience sleep paralysis when I was younger, not so much anymore now while I'm older. But like Kai said, when I was younger, I experienced it a lot, and it was like usually something at the end of my bed. And I think I experienced that all the way up till I was 11 years old, because it would scare me so bad I wouldn't get out of the bed to go to the bathroom.
Yeah. For a while, I just wouldn't sleep because I wouldn't want to see that shit or deal with it.
Yeah.
But no, it is.
Have that. That's fucking nuts. So that's what it is. It's like you envision like something there, and you can't tell if you're asleep or awake, and it's just
You're dreaming. You're actually asleep, but it feels
oh,
like
you are asleep, but you can't tell at the time, right?
So you know,
right, but you can't tell at the time.
So
like,
instead of a dream, like you think you've woken up.
Yeah. So I would be sleeping regularly, and I would think I woke up and saw something at the corner of my bed, and then I couldn't move or deal with it, and it would turn out that I'm still asleep.
I've definitely experienced something similar, but I didn't know that. I thought sleep paralysis was like the same type of things or whatever. But like since a kid, I was like sometimes I'd be falling asleep, and then like you were saying, I think I was still awake, and then I'd hear things yelling out and stuff for like different stuff like that. I'd hear like most of it was auditory, but every once in a while there'd come some visual stuff. But how you're saying that you feel like you're awake, I've definitely experienced that. And I don't know, what do you think that how closely do you think that mental health and spiritual are related?
I don't know. I kind of like, it depends. It for me, I guess it depends, because I don't conjure things. Like, I can usually say stuff or speak something and it happens, or I see it, or I vision it, or I have a dream and something happens. But if I was to tell like a psychiatrist that I see people walking in my house, like, they would probably try to commit me. But it's not that they're not like people trying to tell me to hurt myself. They're not telling me to hurt anybody else, but I literally hear and see things. And it's crazy because they ask you, do you hear and see things nobody else hears? And I'm like, yes. You may not hear it and see it, but sometimes my kids can hear it and see it. Because like I said, my kids experience these things too. And we heard somebody moving around upstairs in our house one time, and I thought it was one of the kids. I was like, somebody, y'all need to go get the baby from upstairs. And they're like, Mom, the baby is down here. And I'm like, well, who the hell is upstairs? Because we're all down here. And it literally sounded like little footprints running in my house, you know, but we all heard that. But somebody who doesn't live here, they may not have heard that. You understand what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
I think they may be different to an extent. But I think that they may be also connected to an extent.
because
yeah,
like
that's a tough call. I think lots of people who are real in touch spiritually get like misdiagnosed with mental issues because they come off like crazy to like people who are just conditioned to like the regular world of just going through the motions of shit. So I think, yeah, a lot of people probably don't actually even have mental issues, but they are diagnosed with mental issues. Because if you're real in touch spiritual, then you're going to be more bothered by things, and there's just way more on your mind than the average person. So then they're going to be like, oh, they must have a mental issue. You know what I mean?
And this
Yeah.
I've literally been told I have psychosis. And I was like, what the hell? Don't you be putting that off on me. I ain't psychotic, bitch.
Right. Like
no.
clearly I can function and get through life many years. And
No.
Yeah,
They're not telling me to like go out and kill people, but I literally see things. Like, I had a client one time die, and I felt her die. And I felt her, it was
yeah,
weird.
my
'cause
mom
I felt
can like
her
feel other people's shit like that. Like I think it would be terrible. It'd be so stressful. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, if you tell a psychiatrist, oh, I can hear God talking to me, then all of a sudden you're crazy.
that's a trip, because I like grew up in church like since a small child, and like I've definitely like, just as real as I've heard this stuff that they describe as psychosis, I've heard God say stuff to me. I've been praying one time I was praying and I really felt the presence of God like comfort me, like he embraced me, and like I could tell like this is what they describe as God. So those things, like if it is mental health or whatever, so if you die and you find out that everything is a lie, there is still something that they're calling God. There's still some kind of emotional stimuli that you get, a stimulation that you get, that is what people describe as God. That's not of the natural sense.
But when they talk about the tree of life, like, it opened up a world to us, good and evil. And so we have two sides to us. Like, I know a lot of people don't believe in the Bible, but the Bible is very spiritual in sense, and people don't understand it. Like, even when it comes to the yin and the yang, you have to have things that balance you out. So we have good and we have evil within us. We have good tendencies and evil tendencies. And sometimes we allow our more evil or vile tendencies to react rather than dealing with, and that's where the battle comes from within us. Like, I used to tell the psychiatrist, like, there's a battle within my brain. You know, it's like, you know, that Tom and Jerry demon, you know, it's like, there's a battle in my brain. Like, I'm warring with myself inside of my own head. Like, no, you shouldn't do that. But it will be so much fun. Like, it's gonna feel good. I want to do it. No, but you shouldn't do that. Like, you know, it's gonna get you in trouble. But I want, you know, and so we succumb to pleasures. We succumb to our desires, our lustful desires. And so some people succumb more, and they have more evil intentions. And I think that's where kind of like the killers and the murderers who want to rape and have control. Like, it's more about the control when it comes into that aspect. Like, they want to have power over somebody. And so that's why I think it is. Like, I think people have the power to be good and people have the power to be bad. And I think that's where it's the balancing.
Yeah. To the original question, experiencing supernatural or spiritual stuff, I think you have to be open to it. Like, once you're open to it, you'll experience it more. Once you seek it out, you'll experience it more and more, because like people who ghost chase and stuff, like they'll go in and they'll use those energy readers and it'll actually go off. But an average person using it, nothing's gonna happen because they're not like open themselves to it. So when like you have to open like what would be considered like a portal or something within your soul or within your spirit or whatever, to be susceptible to experience these kind of things. I think that if you close yourself off from it, you can actually not experience it at all. But it also depends on what you're opening yourself up to, because like Verse had said, he's experienced stuff within church realm and stuff like that. And I know I've seen that, like I've seen healings and stuff like that, and it's like real stuff. It really happens. But I mean, people could justify it in different ways. Maybe it's energy, because I mean, people do have energy about them. No matter what you believe, people do have energy about
I've experienced evil in church. Imagine
yeah,
that.
and Shawn, this is why like children and animals like experience the most like supernatural shit, because after a certain age, like most humans like develop these blocks, you know what I mean? There could be like whole spirits right next to you, and like 85% of people wouldn't even recognize it, you know what I mean? You could be in like a room full of spirits and people wouldn't even notice. But like LaKrysia or Kai or like my mom, like if they walked in a room filled with spirits, they might not know it's spirits right off the bat, but they would feel, okay, this feels more crowded than it really, something would feel different to them, and they'd slowly put it together. Where like a lot of people have just put the blocks there where they don't care. They just see the one dimension of the humans that are there, and they feel the dimension of the humans that are there, and that's that, you know what I mean?
And they rationalize everything as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they just make it make sense like within the blocks that they have built. Yeah.
Didn't Beetlejuice touch on that a lot?
Beetlejuice is they're like the afterlife.
But I'm saying like their spiritual stuff was happening and all the characters were like closed off to it.
Yeah,
and,
yeah,
like,
you're just seeing it from their perspective instead of the living perspective. But yeah, they're like haunting a house.
Perspective of the dead, right? That was one of my favorite movies. I swear it was.
I have the DVD. Yeah, it's one of my favorites too. Maybe I should get a Blu-ray. I don't know how long DVDs will be good, but yeah, I have the DVD of Beetlejuice.
So Atari, you've never had a supernatural experience?
No, I have. I mean, nothing like stronger or palpable enough to make a very good story like anything that you guys have. But I mean, I often feel like spirits come in and out. But yeah, with like, you know, my grandpa and my little sister, and like if I talk to them, like I can feel their spirit come in, like, and I can't roll a joint. But if I can get my sister to come in, then I can just roll it through her, and it's like a good joint, you know what I mean? But a lot of times I do halfway have the blockers up where I'm just feel concerned, you know what I mean?
Do you have the blockers on intentionally because you don't want to see more?
A lot of times I just have them. Yeah, a lot of times I have like myself blocked automatically, or like I'm capable of going into full open mind mode, but I keep myself protected. Yeah.
I think that when we experience, because I think people in general, when it's something bad that happens in life, they automatically block that out.
Right.
But
it happens a lot with like molestation and shit. Like people, they literally won't remember it happened because they've taken it out. Like you can literally just delete pieces. Yeah. So it's like sometimes my friends or my mom will be telling me these vivid stories. I'm like, fuck, that sounds insane. I'm like, this was me.
And you know what, for me, like I'm really good about remembering the bullshit that I do. Like I can remember that. You tell me something, I'm really good about admitting to my bullshit. Like I'm honest about my bullshit. I'm wholeheartedly, I will take responsibility for my bullshit. But don't lie on me. But some of the more traumatic things that have happened to me, I have blocked out. Like things that I didn't cause upon myself, I would say, or
that's how most of mine are. There's scenarios that I don't feel fully responsible, so I feel okay deleting because they're right.
But I would say that being able to connect to your sister is a pretty deep experience.
That's always really cool.
But I
Yeah.
don't have anything that's really spectacular, not anything like
Well,
you guys.
I can't always get her to come
I
either.
just-
You know what I mean?
just-
Like she
I
still
just
has
get
free
possessed
will, so
by
sometimes
people,
she just
that's
won't come,
all.
and then I'm like, just
I'm just a
I have a
medium.
whole,
I'm just a
I
medium,
have
you
a whole
know.
spiritual possession going on, and it's
Right.
just nothing.
but no, yeah, I try to like keep the line open for certain spirits, like spirits that I enjoy. But yeah, I do keep the blockers up to a certain degree with like the general spirit population. You know what I mean?
But
So-
and that's weird. 'Cause I had an experience maybe with one demonic, well, maybe a couple of demonic spirits, but the weirdest one I ever had is when I had my apartment in Avondale, and all of a sudden, like one of my girlfriends told me, "Don't move in this apartment. There's something in here," and my dumb ass did it anyway. Like, bitch, I'll be all right. I'm good, which I was all right, but still. But one day I was like laying in my bed, and all of a sudden it got really hot in my apartment. And I was like, what the hell? And I saw it like right before it got hot, I saw this black shadow walk past my room, and then all of a sudden it got super hot. So I got up and I go and check the thermostat, and the thermostat was set all the way on high heat. And I was like, what the hell? And mind you, it's the middle of fucking summer in Arizona, and it just gets super hot in the apartment.
Shit.
It wasn't scary, but it was crazy. It was like, why? Why would you do that?
Yeah, because usually they make the air colder, don't they? But you said that they were probably an evil spirit, so it made everything warmer.
Hot. It was
Fucking
hot,
weird.
like hell. It was hot. And then I kept getting 911 phone calls. I had the police come out to my house like 3 times. I was like, why are y'all here? Well, somebody called 911. Motherfucker, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm asleep. Nobody called 911. It's just me and my son. Me and my mom and my grandma were moving in furniture one day. Police came, popped up. Somebody called 911. We're like, nobody called 911. It was just weird stuff going on in that apartment. Stuff would come up missing, moved around. Just,
Right.
it was weird. The energy in that whole apartment was weird, but I survived it.
So I think
Yeah, I do remember this one time. I haven't been able to explain it really, thinking about it. But one time when I was back home, it was a period of time. Like I would be like sleep. I would be like laying down sleep, and I would really deeply feel like there was somebody standing over me. Like, like I would just like have a feeling like in my gut, like there's somebody standing over me. And I would look back and I'd be like, there's nobody there. And I would turn over and try to go back to sleep. And I would just continue with this gut feeling like there's somebody standing over me. And sometimes when I would walk places at nighttime, like I would swear like I saw like somebody like out of my peripherals, like somebody run by, like a shadow or something like that. I've never like laid eyes on what the feeling was, but I would always feel like I had just missed it in my peripheral, like something walking past me or some shit like that.
It was your angel watching over you. It was watching over you.
He didn't have good energy. That energy felt negative.
Yeah, I was gonna say, from how it explains, I don't think it was a guardian, LaKrysia. I think it was like a spirit, like stalker, or like somebody
what
intrigued with
happened
them
to
for
you?
bad reasons, or
Nothing happened to me.
No, what happened to it?
It stopped. It just stopped. I just stopped seeing it after a while. I stopped getting that feeling after a while.
Was there something significant that happened in your life that made you stop getting that feeling?
I might have straightened my my actions. I was probably doing bad things at the time.
yeah, it might have been a spirit you knew from when they were alive that was like disappointed in your course of actions, or yeah.
Right. It was definitely somebody watching him, though. And I don't necessarily think, like you said, it was evil, because if it was evil, he would have had some really bad experiences with that spirit. I believe it was somebody that was watching over him that was pretty much, like you said, just pretty much disappointed maybe in his actions, but trying to make sure that he got himself together. And then when he got himself together, it kind of disappeared.
yeah,
Right,
and
it probably
if
went
you
to
don't-
somebody else in their circle, and yeah.
if you don't experience that all the time, spiritual stuff, pretty much anytime you feel something or experience
you're
something
scared of.
spiritual in the rare times that you experience it, it's gonna feel real scary and dark, because that realm is like dark. It's like a dark place. So it could be it could have been some kind of guardian just with a negative feeling to you, negative connotation to you, because you hadn't experienced that before. So when you rationalize something like that or you experience it, it's gonna feel kind of scary or freaky or whatever. But
Look at Shawn in here dropping some philosophical points, huh?
don't worry,
But
man. I got a couple of jokes brewing.
Oh no, this is nice. This is refreshing. You don't need to force the jokes. I was saying this is a positive thing. This is nice. Shawn getting introspective here today.
Go ahead, Kai.
If it's your ancestors, they will try to push you, and it will feel malicious sometimes if you're doing things that they don't like. Like back when I used to date white boys, I used to feel a lot of maliciousness from my ancestors. They probably didn't like that. So, or
your
like
ancestors would like me. They know the character of these white boys. It's not simply that they're white. They understand you're dating the wrong ones. I wouldn't recommend 99% of them.
Yeah, or even when I was like, if I was doing the wrong major in school or dating the wrong person or doing some shit that didn't serve me, I would feel a malicious spirit around. And then when I go, things would get better because it was them pushing me to better myself.
I kept getting those 911 phone calls. It was scary to me because I was like, what the hell is going on? And like I said, the spirit felt weird. It felt very weird. So I went and saw something. Like I was, as a person who reads the Bible, you're not supposed to do this. But I did it. I went to a psychic, and I went and asked her, like, what's going on? Like, why is this spirit around? And she told me once the truth comes out, it will leave. It will disappear. And I was like, I had to get some more clarification on that. And I don't really want to talk about everything, but once I released some information to somebody, it went away, and I knew what it was at that moment. At that time, I got clarification as to what that spirit was, and the spirit, it was uneasy because it was an uneasy situation, even for me, especially as a child when it happened. It was an uneasy situation, so it's difficult to talk about, and it did feel like a very bothering, like a very negative energy. And it was a negative energy, but it wasn't a negative energy towards me. It was somebody reaching out and calling out for help.
Yeah, it wasn't a negative energy and malice. It was like you said, almost
Right.
like disciplinary or like a family type concern. Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
so the reason I was asking about mental health and spiritual stuff is because a lot of the times when I go to the doctor and they end up saying that I'm like depressed, I'll see like dark clouds or dark figures or dark stuff like that. I'll see stuff like that like consistently, and they'll say like that's psychosis or something like that, but I'm actually experiencing it. It's not like it's a hallucination, and this is something that, like, when I get rational and I start getting a clear mind, I'm like, oh, that didn't actually happen. It's like it really physically happened. Like how you were saying about sleep paralysis, I'll literally like experience this. Like I'll live through seeing these type of things. And so, yeah, like I think mental health is really closely tied into that in the most part. So I think when you do certain drugs and you get perma-fried or whatever, how they say perma-fried, and then you start talking to yourself and stuff like that, I think those are real things going on. Like you're really opening up certain gateways and stuff and getting yourself in a place to where that's what you're living now, is the spiritual realm instead of the natural.
Well, I don't know about talking to yourself now, because I've always talked to myself, and yes, I respond to myself. And you know what? Some of the best conversations that I have are with myself, and some of the best solutions that I come up with are having conversations with myself. So I don't agree with the talking to yourself thing. I'm sorry. I don't think that
it's a different level that I'm talking about. When I was doing security, there was this guy who was perma-fried into psychosis and off of heavy drugs or whatever. And he used to walk around saying stuff like, don't rape kids. He'd be like, don't rape kids, not today. And like, it was real freaky. Like, it was real scary to see, but like, yeah, but like, that's what I'm saying. I think he was really experiencing that. I think he was experiencing dark.
But do you ever think that maybe he was raped as a kid and that's why that was stuck in his mind?
could have been. He used to say other stuff too. So
You
if
know,
that's
because
true, a lot of stuff
sometimes
happened to him.
people start using drugs in order to escape the demons that they're dealing with from the trauma that they experienced as children.
True. Yeah, to what you're saying, besides the talking to yourself is a whole different realm. But I think what you're talking about when they say that you're just depressed when you feel like you're feeling and seeing these bad spirits, I think it's a combination, you know what I mean? Like it slightly is because you're feeling down that I think like just like if you like to party all the time, people who like to party all the time, they're gonna want to be around you a lot because you party all the time. So I think when you're feeling down, like spirits that enjoy that energy are more likely to come around you. You know what I mean? Like it's a two-way street. I think we kind of facilitate it if we drop into like a depressed mindset, because then they're like, "Fuck yeah, here's some of that good depressed energy." If that's the type of spirit they are, you know what I mean?
Right, just like
Or
there's
if you're a
gift witches
Christian,
and
the
bad
in
witches.
between or whatever, in limbo period, whatever, however you view it, you know, in the spirit realm.
You have witches who cast good spells, and you have witches who cast bad spells.
Exactly.
You know,
Yeah. So you have bad spirits that are just going to come jump in that depressed energy. Yeah.
Right. You have people who conjure spirits. You have people who talk to the spirit. I don't know, and that's weird. Like, I've never been one to conjure because I've always thought that was weird to me. Like the candles and the ropes and the ashes, and you know, that was kind of like, to me that's more like witchcraft, and I'm not sure like how deep that goes. Like that's kind of more scary to me, like when we start talking about witchcraft. And I do realize like some other things that we,
but it doesn't make it non-spiritual. It's still in the same,
it's
still in the
spiritual.
same
That's
realm
a
as
deep
supernatural and spiritual. Yeah.
I do some of the stuff that you would consider witchcraft.
Like it exists in Louisiana, and where she said she's from
I
South
know
Carolina.
it does because my grandmother is from Shreveport, Louisiana, and my grandmother used to tell me some weird ass shit. And so like when Kai says that runs deep in her family, it runs deep in my family as well.
The thing is, a lot of these girls now who it doesn't run in their family like it does for me and LaKrysia, who try to play in that shit and don't realize that it is witchcraft. This shit is real. There are people on the other side that you're communicating with when you light these candles and when you have the crystals and all of that. So a lot of these girls will be like, oh, let me put a hex on my ex, or let me light this candle to get this man to love me and do all this shit. And they don't realize that all this energy that you put out there, you have to pay for it in some way. So if you put in a love spell on somebody, you might end up going crazy, becoming obsessed with this person, because that's what the spirits for.
And that is so true. And I be wondering about that, Kai. Like I hear women talk about, like, I'm in this group on Facebook, and this chick was talking about if you want to keep a man, you measure off a string, and then you about as many inches as his penis, and then you tie 6 knots in it and you hang it in the left corner of the bedroom. And I'm like, but do y'all realize what can come out of that? Because that man might be crazy. Like before you start putting like spells on people, you need to know exactly what you're asking for when you're casting that spell, because you want this man to love you. That man may love you so much he may kill your ass if you try to leave, you know? Like,
and that's what happens to a lot of these girls. Because if you put a come spell on a dude who already has stalker tendencies, he's gonna be even worse. And like I said earlier, your ancestors will get seemingly malicious if you're doing some shit that they don't approve of. So let's say you do put a love spell on somebody, or you do a spell to try to get money in some way that's not exactly working out for you, and then they'll fuck it up for you. So you do this love spell on this person, and then he comes to you, and it turns out he's like, he can't get it up now because of that spell you put on him.
They don't like him, so they kill his ass or injure him real bad or do some fucked up shit. Like, it's crazy. I don't know. People be playing with that stuff. They don't really know the power. And like I said, for me, I know my power without it, I guess. So it kind of scares me to know what I could possibly do if I actually tried to even play in that side. And that's a scary thought process. And it's scary for me because when I see it in my children too. And so it's like, it's almost passed down.
Yeah, it's hereditary for sure.
Mm-hmm.
It feels
like I said, my mom's like that. I could probably dabble and become a warlock, but I'd just rather not. I don't even want to fucking take all the risks. But like she said, it all comes back. Like I
It
get
comes
too overzealous and shit, and I'd fuck things up, and I'd rather just not. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because if it was that easy, where all you had to do was light a candle and get whatever you want, then we would all do it. You have
Well,
to
it's
pay
even
for
like
it.
with manifesting, how everybody's all excited that they've realized that there's actually something to manifesting when you do the work behind it. Like there's still always a sacrifice. That doesn't mean there's no
right.
fucking sacrifice just because you can manifest things into happening. Yeah.
Yeah, spiritual stuff is definitely real because like um sometimes you can have dreams and they can be something silly or they can be like a nightmare and it's something scary, but then sometimes you can have a vision and that's something totally different. Like little stuff in the dream is like really relevant to what happens within the next upcoming week or whatever. And like you were saying about having the dream about the water in the bathtub and stuff, like I've had dreams like that, so I know that that's definitely real. I've had dreams with little details that tied later into elements of my life, like very big, like it was very important things that were like warning signs or whatever about certain people in my life, and I ignored it. I just didn't listen, and then I had really bad experiences. Like really big tragic parts of my life were due to me not listening to my spiritual advice that I was getting.
Right. And you know, it
Yeah,
was crazy
dreams are
too.
definitely significant, and they give you signs and signals. And I'm not all the way sure if dreams are controlled by spiritual shit, like you said, or if dreams are kind of just like your internal gut, like presenting things to you in a way that you can't understand when you're awake.
Yeah,
You
I
know what I
think
mean?
I don't always think that, Atari, and I say
I
that
think
because
I'm saying I haven't even decided which it
I
is yet.
have
I'm not really
dreams
sure.
about other people's lives. Like I literally had a dream one time, and this was one of those another argument that I had with God because in my dream I saw a man cheating on his wife. It was
Huh.
my church sister, and I literally in this dream, this girl comes to her house and she's telling my church sister that she's pregnant by her husband. And I'm like, God, why are you showing me this? Like at this point in time, I'm like, why are you showing me this? And he's like, you know why I'm showing this? I'm like, no, I don't. This is not
Well,
my
so
business.
you're in the dream. She's just coming and telling you about their
No, I'm
situation.
not in the
Oh,
dream.
you're not in it
No,
at all.
I'm
So you're just
seeing
seeing it
it.
with just all these other people.
It's
Okay.
all her. It's
I
all
don't know
her
if I've
whole
ever
life.
had that happen. Oh
And
shit.
I've had that.
I'm arguing back and forth with God. I'm like, I'm not going to her. I don't want to tell her this. This is not something, this is not a conversation I want to have. Like, I don't want no parts of this. You know, she's going to reject it anyway. So why even go to her and tell her this? Like, leave me alone. And he was like, no. So I woke up the next morning and I'm talking to my husband. And I was like, I don't want to talk to her about this. This is not my business. He was like, well, you know what was told to you. So you better do it. You better be obedient. So I go and tell her, and she was like, that's crazy because that's happening to me right now. And I was like,
Yeah, I've gotten all my friends together.
Fortunate.
This happened earlier in the summer, and I was like, I know one of y'all are pregnant because I had a dream that told me, I know this sounds crazy to you, but one of you guys is pregnant. And so one of my friends, she took a pregnancy test a week later, found out she was pregnant, and was like, damn, I wasn't even going to take a pregnancy test if you didn't tell me that because
Oh,
it didn't even cross my mind.
I accurately saw the older Genesis, like a 3-year-old Genesis. My daughter, I accurately saw her in a dream while she was still in the womb. I was dreaming about like this little girl, and like it just stuck with me. And like as she got older, I started realizing that that's what I dreamed about.
Actually, I was going to bring this up earlier. I was in this Facebook group, and this woman, she was pregnant at the time. She died for a little bit during childbirth. And so she saw like a 5-year-old version of her daughter in the afterlife. She had a dream where she was having a picnic with her daughter, and then the daughter is 5 now, and she looks exactly the way she looked in this dream that she thought she saw in the afterlife.
Yeah, that's a whole element of spiritualism, is like the connection you have with your parents or your kids, because like your spirit or soul or whatever you believe in, it develops from your mom, you know. And
right.
also partially something has to feed into that from the sperm cell, because it's necessary for those two pieces to come together to make a human. So you a piece of both your father and mother are within you, that create your personality and everything. My kids all have elements of my personality and their mom's personality. And so definitely like your spiritual gifts or whatever are going to be passed down genetically through one of your parents. And a lot of stuff, like I don't think it's really a physical reason that when they come out, they recognize your voice or stuff like that. The same as like dogs, when you own them for a while, and then like when people go away to the military and they come back, the dog gets so excited. I think it's real similar. Like your kid will be very happy to see you when he or she is born. And
But
a lot
your
of
kids
people
know your voice when they're inside of, like, your kids can hear you. They like when they're inside, like, you talk to them. That's why they tell you to read to your kid. They tell you to do different things because they can actually hear. They can hear your voice while they're in utero. So that's definitely a physical, like, they're
Yeah,
connected.
you started with something and then you ended up with something completely different.
I don't think it's because you're reading to them like physically the sound of your voice is making that connection. I think it's because you're putting energy into making that connection. You're building that connection energy wise, because breastfeeding builds some type of bonding connection, and
No,
that's
it doesn't. Not necessarily.
why do you
Right,
say
and
that?
even so, I agree that it's energy, but energy is not a spiritual connection. Everything has energy. Like all living things have energy. Even a lot of non-living things have energy, like depending on what's connected to them, and you know what I mean. But everything has energy, so that's a whole different thing than spirituality. What you were saying at the beginning, how you were saying like a parent, especially a mother, always has like a deep spiritual connection to their kids is very true, because it is just literally like a strand of them out in the world. If you're a parent and also the type that's very like spiritually and energy perceptive, like how Kai was saying she knew one of her friend circle was pregnant, like that's how my mom is with her friends and family circle. Like if my mom's mood is fucked up and nothing happened in her life, she just calls like her three main friends and she calls me and she's like, I'm trying to find out like why my energy's fucked up, you know what I mean? And I'm like, well, let me tell you
You know
about what
what?
happened yesterday, mama. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
And that's crazy because my guy, like, he'll wake up and if his damn shirt doesn't match his socks, he has a whole mental breakdown and his energy is fucked up. And he doesn't understand. He's like, why do you have an attitude all of a sudden? I'm like, dude, I have told you before, like, I'm an empath. When the energy changes around me, like when there's anything wrong with any of you guys, I automatically know it. I don't care how far away you are. I don't care where you are. I don't care how bad you try to be like, oh, everything is cool. I can literally feel your energy. Like I can feel when it's fucked off. So when you wake up and you have a mental breakdown over your socks not matching your shirt, it throws my whole fucking day off. I need you to not do that. I need
Hey,
you to figure
verse.
out how
Yeah,
to
people
figure
don't
out
realize how much their
goddamn sock.
energy affects people around them.
I have a
Like,
question
it's
for you,
such an
Verse.
effect.
Would you say that you experienced this to where you can go into a room with your woman and not even physically show any signs like a facial expression or body language or anything, but you can tell she's mad?
Yeah.
So I think that once you get around somebody and like you start forming connections, I think you get a connection energy wise that goes deeper than the natural. So I think that's a supernatural thing that a lot of couples experience. You can tell, like you can
It's close
Well, I
friends.
don't
you
It's
date
not
necessarily
somebody
just
for
think
a
that's
couples.
while.
supernatural. I think that's more about knowing your partner and growing with your partner. I mean, granted, there are some supernatural connections, but being able to tell when your partner is mad or being able to feel when your partner is mad is two different things.
Right, and like I said, real life energy is different than a spiritual connection. Like what you're talking about, you have a little stronger with like your partner or your spouse than anybody else, but you have it with all your close friends and family too. Like once you allow somebody into your energy circle, like that energy starts to affect you whether you want it to or not. You know what I mean?
Well,
And it's
and
just
It's
right,
like
not to
what
the
LaKrysia
same
said,
degree.
those
It's
people can
not to
get
the
away
same
from
degree
it.
as somebody that you're sexual with on a constant basis. It's there, but it's not the same degree. But
well, for me, it's the same degree everywhere.
I
I
was
can
gonna
go up
say
into a
maybe for
store,
you, I've had just as strong connections with people as I
right?
have with people I've been having sex with for 3 years. with, as opposed to people that I've never had sex with and I've had just as deep as connection with them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
And I can
that's
literally
not true
walk
at all
into
for
a
most people.
store
It might just
and
be true
feel
for you. Like
Yeah, maybe that's true, but it's
you've
people I'm
never had like
sexual
a
with and
real good
my
friend for
kids
a
and
lot
my
of years.
this
You
is
have
where I
sex with.
experienced it in a non-sexual way. Playing football, when we would go out on the field and we'd play a hard game and everybody would be exerting a lot of force and we'd start losing, like the whole team's energy would feel the same way. Like we'd get in the locker room and you
Right,
could
it
look around
works
and
that
by
way with
everybody's
me,
facial
too.
expressions, you could tell we all were feeling the same feeling. And it was like compounded by being around these teammates and being an actual team. And like that, it was just like a whole unit. Like the whole unit felt it, from the coaches to everybody in the team, the stands, everybody would feel it. Like the school you
Well,
were
And it works
representing
that
felt
way at
that feeling.
offices and workplaces and shit like that too. Like that's why people don't want super negative. That's why employees would rather have like a positive, good energy person that sucks at their job than somebody who's really good at their job but has really bad energy, because it spreads to
but
the whole team. Like
and I think those are also two different things, because you think about it, well, in a sense, because when you think about it, when you're on a team and you're losing, of course the whole team is going to feel it. You're losing. But when you have a person who walks up to you, you don't know, and their energy is off and it impacts you, it's a different type of situation. Like,
right.
it's just different when you don't know a person and you can feel that their energy is off. And that's why I don't let people in. Like, I don't allow people to come into my space. I don't like people. I don't like going to Walmart because there's too many
Right.
people with too much
I hate
energy.
meeting new
And
people
I
and
can
neighbors
feel
and
their energy. I can feel it. Like, I can just walk past somebody and be like, ugh. I've had my husband bring men or people over and be like, ooh, please don't bring that person back over there. Their spirit is off. Like,
right.
and just meeting that person, like, don't do that.
Right. And some people have like super like draining and taxing energies, you know what I mean? Like I hate like meeting new neighbors and new people if they have like really extreme like draining energies, because then you feel like fucking exhausted. Like it's weird as shit. I used to have this one neighbor that every time I'd see him standing outside, I'd already get in a bad mood because I'm like, God damn it, this fucking energy vampire is just gonna farm me for everything I have, you know what I mean?
Energy
And I'd try
vampire.
to I'd try to like quickly walk in the house and shit, but I could never. He'd be like, "Hey, what's up, man?" He'd come walking up, and I just already feel it being pulled from me. I'm like, "Fuck!" He's already like feeding on me, like, and I'd only talk to him for like 5 minutes or so, and I'd come in the house, and almost every time I'd be like, "Fuck!" Now I have to take a nap. Like that motherfucker is so exhausting. Like even just talking to him for a couple minutes, you know what I mean? And yeah, there's lots of like energy vampires like that out there, and if you don't have a ton of energy ready to go into hanging out with them, you can't even handle it. Like,
Well, even people who normally give me good energy, because like I live by myself, and if me and my partner are fighting or they have a problem with me for just no reason, I'll say, look, you cannot come into my apartment right now. We're gonna have this fight in a coffee shop or in a park somewhere, but you're not gonna bring that energy into my home and into my bedroom.
right.
So then it's just gonna be stuck with me lingering in my space, and I don't want that.
Right.
Are in
My
a consistent
16-year-old is
relationship.
now starting to realize that. And it was funny to me. He was like, Mom, I never understood. He was like, but is that why you don't let people come over to our house? And I was like, exactly why I don't let people come over to our house. It's because I don't need all them different energies all up in here.
Right.
I ain't got time to be smudging every day. Like, okay, get this
Yeah.
energy up out of here and salt in my windows. I ain't got time for that.
There's only
That's
been
too
like
much.
3 people in here the whole year that I've lived here. Yeah, there's only a select few that all let their energy come in here for any amount of time, you know.
Right, right.
Does sage work?
You know what? It does. It does. And you know what? It's crazy
Used to
because
use it.
I got a couch from this lady. Oh my God, my house was in fucking shambles for like a week. I swear. I was like, what the hell? And it was crazy because everybody that sat on the couch was like, had this fucked up energy for like a week. So I was like, I gotta sage the house now. So I literally had to sage the whole house and sage the couch, and everybody's energy changed. But I was like, damn, just a piece of furniture bringing it into my house? I gotta watch the furniture I bring into my house? Like, what the hell?
Oh yeah, if my energy
That
feels
deep
weird,
for
I
me.
start throwing shit out. Yeah, I'm like, it's something in here. Yeah.
What's this verse have
Yeah.
going on?
The verse of the pet turtle.
His name is Sebastian. It's my daughter's turtle.
Oh, nice.
All right. He looks like a ninja.
God, everybody's got daughters except us, Kai.
I know.
Are we the only daughterless people on here?
I think, are we the only child-free people?
I think so. I think I was the only one before you started coming on shows. Yeah, I think we are.
True. Out of everybody who's
Yeah.
been on, everybody has kids except you two.
Right. Yeah, I finally have another sane person here with me. Huh?
Wait, is that true?
Antonio didn't have kids.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
Antonio
no,
doesn't.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. But he's not coming back, I don't think. He's persona non grata in the panels universe.
People
He's
get
supposed to
LaKrysia
go
now
one-on-one
because
with
of
LaKrysia.
Antonio.
I wouldn't care if that was the last time he came back, if he just went one-on-one with LaKrysia. If you're watching this and you're a big fan, Antonio, then come do the one-on-one with LaKrysia. Obviously, Antonio's a viewer of the show, right? Come do the one-on-one, Antonio.
Antonio, you're invited to do a one-on-one with LaKrysia. We want to see some booping from both sides. That would be great. A whole lot of boops and bops and everything that needs to go on. We want to see this. It would be very good entertainment.
We wanted to talk about and know your thoughts on the Gucci versus Jeezy battle.
Specifically, I think it was a great battle. I want to. My heart tells me that there were more things staged that happened in that battle than we may think. Then it may be, then they may be putting it out there.
Oh, like it's all just a production.
Some of it, I mean,
I
don't know if certain things that were said, especially when Gucci started talking about, the guy that he killed in self-defense. I don't know if all of that was planned so much as it was definitely known that it was going to happen. Like it was known that the song was going to be performed. And Jeezy's response to him performing that song and the stuff that he said after the song went off, Jeezy's response and how he segued into his next song was a little too perfect. It was a little too perfect. Like, so in
the program.
It just seemed like when he did it, like we thought it was like, yo, this is about to be a real serious situation. Like Jeezy, like cut the music. He's like real serious right now. And he's like making a good point, but out of nowhere he goes, yeah. Last time I checked, I was the man. And it goes right into his next song. So I don't know. I don't feel if it wasn't staged either way. I don't look at either one of them as like I lost respect for either one of them. I mean, at the end of the day, Gucci. The story is that somebody tried to kill Gucci. He beat him to the punch, and he got acquitted of any murder charges because it was self-defense. And if the rumors are true that the guy was definitely a friend and an associate of Jeezy, but if the rumors are true that Jeezy put a hit out on Gucci, then I mean Gucci doesn't owe Jeezy any type of piece. Like, you know what I'm saying? The fact that Gucci did the event. And one thing is, to me is him stepping up in, what's the word I'm looking for? Is him burying things that, because honestly, you think about it from your standpoint where you stand. If you feel like somebody tried to send somebody to kill you, whether you lived or not, like you might not ever feel like you would want to share a room with that person in life. You know
Probably
what I'm saying?
not, yeah.
And the fact that he did that, he was already. You know what I'm saying? And think of like how many are you, and if you do it, how many punches are you gonna pull? Are you gonna pull your punches, or are you gonna say whatever the fuck that you want to say? Because listen, it's at the end of the day, you tried to get me killed.
Well, weren't people nervous that after the battle there was gonna be more shit like that? Like they were gonna try to put hits out on each other again? And
I don't think that was gonna happen. I think both of them have moved past, actually resorting to violence
phase of their life. Yeah.
To handle each other. Definitely Jeezy seems like he's on a new level of, just trying to be peaceful and trying to end the violence between everybody, especially to our young rappers. We lost a lot of young rappers like just this year.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Gucci is too, though. I follow Gucci and I follow Keisha too, his wife or whatever. And Gucci is a lot cleaner image and different than he was before the time too, obviously.
Yeah, so, but it's the old Gucci still in there.
I mean, that's true.
Still in
I
there.
see what you're saying. Yeah.
Prison changed him, but the old Gucci is still there. And I completely agree. Jeezy tried to have him killed. So I mean,
I think Keisha
fine that
changed him as
people-
much as prison did. I mean, I think prison obviously had an effect, but I think just having a good, loyal woman makes a huge fucking difference in Gucci's
Prison,
case.
prison got him off of
definitely made him
drugs.
the man he is today.
You
for
know,
sure.
and someone who can
prison
like
got him
play
off
on
of
his
drugs.
level and shit like that, and similar to him, and you know.
I think he started taking drugs to try and make some good records, and it just never worked. And so he continued with the drugs, and you know, the circle of life, because that man is terrible at music, so bad.
I
One
was
of the
gonna
worst.
say verse. Sean Bender thinks that Gucci Man is terrible musically.
Listen, I'm not a super huge fan of Gucci Mane's music, but I won't say that he's horrible at music. He has his lane, you know. You can't deny the amount of fans that Gucci has. Like, you know, there's a lot of people
Right,
that
and all
swear,
the rappers he created, all these young rappers that
Well,
wouldn't
with all
exist
due
without.
respect, I don't know
let's
Gucci
not
Man
even-
or Jeezy, but just because you have fans doesn't mean you're good.
And
some
speaking
people
of
think-
lanes, I think that a place with lanes, is a bowling alley, and that's where Gucci Mane should be performing.
What the fuck?
I knew it was coming. I knew something weird was coming.
He had to try one, yeah. Another swing and a miss for Shawn Bender. We should
wasn't a
put
miss.
you know, like, what is it, Jeopardy or Family
Wow.
Feud? Family Feud. You know, on Family Feud where they get one wrong and it puts the big red X. We should have that pop up every time Shawn has a joke that just doesn't hit,
Yeah.
like when nobody on the board laughs or
Yeah.
anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You were about to talk about that too, Atari. As far as Gucci's Mane's music, like I said, I'm not so much of a fan. But if you looked up how many people Gucci Mane has brought into celebrity, you know, that has put on into the music business, it's been a lot of people that I'm sure at least one of you like. At least everybody in this room likes one person that Gucci Mane.
Oh
has.
yeah, there's people
put
that
into-
Shawn likes that we were telling him before we started recording. Like, yeah, I mean, 80% of the fucking relevant Atlanta rappers, like a big chunk of the relevant Atlanta rappers from 25, 26, 27 and below, Gucci had a connection in damn near all of those blow
They're
ups.
all
How
direct.
Like,
many
yeah,
Atlanta
Migos,
rappers
Thugger,
strive
all
to
of
have
them,
Gucci
yeah.
Mane bars? How many people are studying his verses and stuff like, oh, I'm gonna be just like Gucci one day with the pen. Oh, it's gonna be the
I mean,
hardest pen that's
Soulja Boy
ever
did.
existed.
Listen,
Soulja Boy
Gucci is
did.
one of
Like,
the-
Soulja Boy
Gucci is
turned
one of-
himself into a Gucci clone after he was done with all the Crank That. I mean, I'm
gotta
sure there's
realize,
lots of
too-
people who molded their shit around Gucci.
You got to realize too, Shawn, Gucci is a pioneer of trap music, and there's a lot of trap music still being made.
Right. You have to know how to judge each lane. Like if that's not your favorite lane,
Yeah,
you
that
can't
might
just
be
say he
it, because
sucks
I don't
because
like.
it's not your favorite lane.
I don't
Because
like
he's not
Chief
one of
Keef
my
music
favorite
either.
rappers,
My
but I know
favorite
he's one of the
lane.
better ones in that lane. I'm one of the godfathers, and you know what I mean.
I don't like Chief Keef music either, and he's like trap too. But I mean,
He's
he's done
more
some.
chill.
He's done
He's like
some good
Chicago
stuff,
level.
more than Gucci Mane, but a lot of his songs are like not that good.
I mean, the problem with all your music takes is you're not able to like judge shit that you don't like. You know what I mean? Like, I don't like Justin Bieber, for example, but I know that he's really good. I know a lot of his songs are really good. I don't like Chris Brown, but I know a lot of his songs are really good. Like, I don't like Drake whatsoever, as you know, but I know that he's really good at his lane. That's not a lane you're ever gonna fucking catch me listening to. Like, you know, you can tell when people, like Verse can too. I think most of us can, besides you. Like, you can tell when people are good, regardless if you like them or not. You know what I mean? Like, or at least you should be able to. You should be able to wage if people are good at shit, even if you're not a fan.
Yeah, even
And
if you're not-
Gucci, it's like he's very good at what he does, whether you're a fan of it or not. It's completely different to say you're not a fan
He's
of it.
very good
But for
at
you to
the
just say he
image, but
sucks
the
'cause
music
he's
part
not a
is
fan
not.
of it, it just shows how one-dimensional your takes are when it comes to music. You know what I mean? Like, you're not thinking from a perspective of waging it on the curve of what it is. You're only
It's not
thinking
that,
of shit
it's not
that
that
you
I'm
like.
not a fan of Gucci. Like I don't know. I'm a bigger fan of him as a person than his music. I'm not that big a fan of his music. I just
But you
not
said
for
you
me.
don't like trap music, right? You're not a trap music
Yeah,
fan.
I don't know if I can think like G Herbo. G Herbo has like one or
You
two
said he
songs
was
that I like,
taking
and I
drugs
started
because
like
he was so
Herbo's
trash or
real.
something. You literally said that he was trash. You didn't just say you didn't like his music. You said right here on the show that he was trash or something to that effect.
He should be performing in the bowling alley.
Yes, that's what you said. You said he should be
Music.
performing in a fucking bowling alley, and now you're sitting trying to fucking backpedal and say, "Oh no, I just don't like his music." You literally said he was trash. You say anybody you don't like is trash, even if they're
Listen,
really good at their lane.
another thing too,
songs
Gucci.
were ass. Like before the show when we were talking about it, you said 95% of his songs were garbage.
Horrible.
Right, I was
like,
going to be
the
polite and not
worst.
bring up pre-show shit, but yeah, you guys should have heard the stuff this man was saying before the show began. Now he's
And-
backpedaling like, I just am not a fan. I'm not saying you go from saying he should be performing at bowling alleys and local events to
Yeah. Gucci's physical transformation is like top 5.
Yeah.
So
True.
it's
That's
like
true
top
too.
5.
Though his transformation's crazy for like celebrity transformations, like weight loss or bulking up or shit like that. Yeah,
It was so great. Like people were like, "Yo, it's not him. It's a clone." They cloned.
literally
it.
thought he was a clone. Yeah,
Yeah, like his transformation was crazy. But that's what happens when you get off those drugs.
you know
The
you
most
snap yourself in
convincing of
gear when
those
people are
clones-
accusing you of being a clone of yourself. Yeah.
Notable artists that Gucci co-signed, either he signed them or he co-signed as far as them getting a record deal. Waka Flocka, 2 Chainz,
2 Chainz,
Future,
Oh, okay.
Young Thug,
Yeah, Future's a
Rich
prevalent
Homie
one.
Quan, Migos. Like, I mean, him
the
and
Migos are huge.
Yeah.
That's a
he's
good
the
example
A&R
of
goat.
huge artists that aren't very good. But again, that's trap music, so maybe that's just I don't have an ear for it or something. But
So out
Migos
of
are
all the
horrible.
artists, he just
Well, I mean,
named
they
one
used
of
to be.
the
They got better. What were you saying?
Did you say all of those artists are trap artists? No, they're not all trap
No,
artists.
I didn't say they're all trap artists. I said
They're all not good.
trap artists I don't have an ear for. Because I used to really dislike Migos, like Versace and all those songs. I used to think they were just the worst, but I think recently as they've gone their done separate projects and stuff, I think they've got some good stuff between them. But like what was that song that Offset did with Cardi B? And she was dancing on him in the chair and stuff.
Clout.
Yeah, it was
Oh yeah.
Clout.
So that song was bad. This song was real bad. So I don't know. I don't think like I don't ever think they'll be in top 10 conversations. Some of these people that you guys are naming, but I don't know.
We're not talking about top 10.
What the hell does that have to do with anything? Yeah.
Honestly, I think they'll be in bottom 10.
We're saying that
Future.
yeah. He said that those are people who blew up that are tied to Gucci.
Yeah,
Shawn Bender's music takes are outrageous.
he's spotless. Impact wise, he's had an amazing impact, but impact doesn't always mean your music is good.
Okay, let's stop talking about if his music is good or not, though, because that's just a matter of personal opinion. You're debating based on your personal taste. Because, like, even if you want to look at
Hey, like I
Gucci
said, you're
versus-
not seeing it unbiasedly anyway, so you can't say if it's good or bad. Because
Yeah.
you always just look at shit whether it's something you like or, as you said, have an ear for.
If you want to look at Gucci versus the other godfather of Atlanta trap music, T.I., T.I. basically makes the same shit that he's been making at the beginning of his career. But Gucci has evolved. He went from, like, when I was water whipping, making songs about, like, selling crack to doing shit with Megan Thee Stallion. Like, he changes with the times. And a lot of these old-ass, like, trappers don't do that.
Oh, I don't know about. I mean, as a T.I. fan, I have to come to his defense here. I don't know about that. I mean,
I'm not
T.I.
saying
wasn't rapping about like the political stuff and shit that he is now. Back in like the trap music or I'm Serious era, T.I. is
but his
definitely
sound
he's
hasn't
evolved a
changed.
different direction and gotten more like the conscious route. But T.I. has
His sound
definitely
hasn't
evolved
changed
since
that
then.
Yeah,
much.
T.I. at least has like 4 or 5 flows. Gucci has literally 0.5
And you know
flows.
what? I think
How
for
would you
me,
know?
I don't take
How
them
would you know?
seriously when they go from talking about how they live their life to trying to talk conscious, because you ruined a whole damn community with the bullshit you were out here rapping about. Now all of a sudden you want to be conscious. Like, you need to go back and fix what you did while you're being conscious. Like, that's how I feel about
What
that.
everybody does.
I mean,
All the
yeah, I
old
can
niggas go
see that
conscious,
take.
But Gucci has changed. He changed with the times. He kept up with the times.
Yeah, people change because what's his name? Jay-Z was like, wasn't he like a crack dealer or something? And now he's like doing charities and stuff.
I
So
was just talking about being able to keep up with trends. That's what I meant. And that's hard for a lot of these older rappers to do. And he does it successfully.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, Jeezy wasn't able
I
to
mean,
really
and
do
Shawn,
that.
these Hollywood people giving to charities and stuff like that, like I think they do that more or less for the publicity, not really because they're doing it out of the kindness of their hearts.
I don't.
That's just my personal opinion.
And it's a tax
But, like,
write-off if you make enough.
when I
That's
say
true,
they
but I
need
don't
to
think
make
Jay-Z's
a
doing it for that
change in the
reason.
community, like you were out here selling dope, like you need to be out here, trying to correct the issues you were doing. Go out into the community, trying to help these people get mental health and, create mental health clinics, like really make a change in your community. While you were out here talking about selling dope and robbing people, and you created a whole generation of kids who thought this shit was cool. Now you need to go back and correct that before you start talking conscience.
And to build off of LaKrysia's point, the Marcy projects where he was selling crack, that's still projects. Those people are still poor. Those people are still on crack. Like, why would you not, if you really cared about the community, you would fix that spot that you directly impacted, which would be super easy for him because he's damn near
He's
a
got
billion.
the money.
I think
Right.
he is. I think he did hit
All I
$1 billion.
know is, he has the Rock Nation management group, and the greatest of all time, Christina Aguilera, recently joined the Rock management group. So it's the Rock now, and Jay-Z is all right in my book. So, I mean, as long as Aguilera is on the roster, Jay-Z is cool with me. So that's my thoughts on
Jay-Z
Jay-Z.
is not cool. I just don't.
Also, if Jay comes across this, I mean, I heard you and Christina sit down and check out my catalog. Give me a call. Give me a call. See where you guys stand. Give me a call on the old cell phone. Jump in my DMs.
I can't be the only one from New York, and I can't be in here bashing Jay-Z. So I have to say something positive. I
can't be bashing Jay-Z. A genius supporting geniuses. You have to enjoy
Jay-Z
what
is
Jay-Z.
he's a damn genius. I give him that. I just still think that if you have impacted your community, you should go back and you should try to fix the community that you impacted.
Rock Nation, baby.
Like, period, point blank. It is what it is.
Yeah, Jay-Z brought in Kanye West, and so he's always going to be all right in my book.
Yep, brought in Kanye, created Rock Nation with Aguilera and Rihanna and Meg Thee Stallion, and it's Rock Nation, baby. It's all about Rock Nation.
Oh God, sorry, please.
If anybody's out there listening with Rock Nation, any of the publicists or anything, get at me.
Hey, Drake's dropping the album in January. It's going to change the entire scope of the world. The outlook of the world is going to be different. It's going to be different than 2020. Everything's going to be better. We got a Drake album coming.
No one's looking forward to that but you. All Drake's numbers are just bots. You're the only one who's really listening to him.
That video had like 1 million something views.
Bunch of Russian bots viewing Drake shit.
Drake is not hard. He just pretends to be. He started from Degrassi. Now he's here.
Drake's an actor. I don't know why he's put in the realm of a real artist. He's just a guy playing an artist.
He's a good entertainer.
He's not Rock Nation and he's not Cult of Love. So
he's the GOAT, man. He's the GOAT.
I wouldn't say all that now. You've just taken it too damn far.
You wouldn't say Drake is the GOAT? Who is better than Drake or has a better track record?
What are you lobbying for here? You want to be an extra in one of his music videos or something? John wants to be shimmying with his shirt off in one of the Drake videos.
COVID shimmy. So
in the background twerking.
I've never heard music like that in my life. It's so good.
Listen to 808s and Heartbreaks. There you go. You heard music like that.
Yep, there's his style done a lot better. 808s and
done as well. Even though Kanye's my second favorite, probably.
We'll listen to The Weeknd or Ariana Grande or that Drake shit out of here.
Drake is so amazing. One of the greatest that ever did it.
All the greatest are with The Rock.
Not
all right, I'm done. It's just fun how LaKrysia pops every time for it.
Is J. Cole still doing stuff with Jay-Z's imprint?
I don't know if he's still with him.
So, I mean, the greatest aren't.
The most annoying personality of all time, DJ Khaled, is with them though.
There you go, man.
The
That's who you're
screaming
repping.
extraordinaire.
Khaled.
What does he
The
do,
yelling
man?
connoisseur.
Is he a producer or what does he do? Like,
He's a screamer. He's what you call a screamer.
does
He
he really get
reminds me
paid to do
something
vocal
like
tags?
Jermaine Dupri. You know, he's all in the background. You know, like the hype
Yeah.
man. He's the hype man. There
Yeah,
you
like
go.
Diddy was for a little bit. Like Diddy, Jermaine Dupri, like that kind of. Yeah, he's
He's the hype man. He's the hype man. Simply put, he's the hype man, or the wannabe hype man.
yeah, he just sucks at it. He's not good at it like Jermaine Dupri. Or, you know, the best at it was Little John. And then he would have even whole verses just screaming shit over and over again. Yeah, Little John was the man. He's like, DJ Khaled's like a poor man's Little John.
Little John wasn't there.
Uh-huh.
I saw Ying Yang Twins live, and it was so weird without Lil Jon screaming in the background.
They're part of the damn song. You can't not have them in, performance. Like, what the
Right.
hell? You're used
Yeah, that's
to
why it
it
was
now.
best when they all
You need
toured
that
together when it was like
love
the whole, yeah. When they were mainstream, though, they would all tour together, like him and Yin Yang and all those people that he collabed with and China White. So when they did perform, Lil Jon could be out there for all of them. But yeah, Lil Jon was the shit. I didn't mind Lil Jon.
He was.
Why do they let men, like male performers, like hold the mic, maybe jump up and down a couple of times, like walk from one side of the stage to the other, or sometimes run if they really want to get active? But like females got to do whole choreography and have like backup dancers and explosions and streamers.
They
and,
don't have to. That's what they
Yeah, they
choose
don't
to.
have to. The good male performers have choreography and shit. You've never seen DaBaby
Right.
perform or like Michael
Shit, back in
Jackson
the
or
day,
Lil
our
Nas
performers
X
had
or like the
choreography.
good
sure
performers
Chris
do.
Josie had choreography.
Look up a Lil Nas X performance. Like, yeah, the good performing males still do that shit. It's just they don't have to. They're just a lot of male performers are super fucking lazy, and it sucks.
I don't
'cause
think
people
the
pay these
baby
high
shows
ticket
are like
prices.
that outside of like the mainstream events like award shows and stuff. I don't think he has. I mean, he has a Jabberwocky's on tour with him, so he has like backup dancers now, but like coming into the industry, I don't think he was doing all that. I think he got away with just standing there with the mic and rapping for a
So
while.
do girls. Like, you haven't been to any of the Arizona shows? Like, they don't have all the choreography before they blow up. Like, I don't have any choreography at my shows, but when I blow up and have the budget, I will first fucking show. Like that's normal when people don't have the budget. Like the only girl I know that has a budget is or that has like background dancers doing like choreography is what the fuck is her rap name? I think you know her, LaKrysia. What is Ariana's rap name?
I don't know. I just call her Ariana.
Right. Yeah. I just think when I think of dope female Arizona rappers, I just think Ariana in my head too, but that's not her rap name. Fuck, I can't remember her name. But anyway, she has like two girls go up on stage with her when she performs, and they do like choreography. And if I had two friends that would be down, then I would totally do it. It's just that's a budget thing when people are coming up. That's not really because
Right, and
they
some
don't
of the
want it.
people-
The baby always wanted it. He just didn't have the budget and shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but even
And
he's
then, like,
not
when you're
in
coming
step.
up, when you have people who are dancing, it's easier for you to have someone who's doing choreography or who's willing, because they're trying to come up as well. So as
Right.
while they're performing with you, it's actually building up their resume on top of building your resume.
He's
Right,
not in
and some
step with
people
his
can
dancers,
dance, but
though.
they can't make shit up. Like I can do choreography, but I can't really come up with choreography. So even choreographers, like they want to put their fucking name out there. You know what I mean? If people are like, this Atari Monroe video is fucking insane, people in the dance community are going to be like, who is the choreographer? And then they're going to get a lot more opportunities. You know what I mean?
I think I don't know, like Jay-Z, 50 Cent, Eminem, like the old school people, and then even like Drake or Migos, or like a lot of these people who are like top of the game, J. Cole, even like Kendrick Lamar does at like I said, award shows, but outside of award shows, it's not like he has a bunch of stuff, like a bunch of action on stage. But I mean, then again, there is some people that do crazy stuff with their sets, like when he did
Yeah, I
that
think
All
he
Right
probably
performance,
does.
or how Kanye West has like real famous artists do his stage sets and stuff. But then it's like I don't know, like Beyonce or like Meg Thee Stallion, now Doja Cat, Ariana Grande, like so many female artists do like so much more on stage, or have so much more action happening on the stage.
I think that's a genre thing too. I think pop stars are expected to
Right. I
do
was
that
gonna
more.
say you're naming a bunch of crossover artists where it's like typically a lot of rappers have had kind of lazy stage sets, but if you look outside of rap, the males are all performing. Like Justin Bieber's not just
Well,
standing up there
yeah,
walking
because
back
even
and
if
forth.
you look at a
You know
Little
what I
Kim
mean?
and Biggie Small performance, Little Kim and Biggie Small weren't really performing. They were just kind
Right.
of
Yeah, I
bouncing
was gonna
around
say
the
Lil
stage.
Kim. Thank you. I was trying to look for an example that was a pure rapper that was a strip performer and also a female. Like Lil Kim sets are like these lazy rapper sets. She just stands up there and raps. You know what I mean? It's more of a rapper thing than a male or female thing.
Yeah.
Because all the males like Justin Bieber, you know what I mean? Like they perform. Chris Brown with The Weeknd, like they actually make it like a visual set.
Yeah, I feel like I've seen Missy Elliott do some shows where she's dancing and stuff too, though.
Yeah, she's kind
But
of like the
Missy
baby. I mean, yeah,
Elliott,
some rappers still do it, but yeah.
Missy Elliott is more of an entertainer than a rapper, and it's her personality, I think. Missy is just one of those people who is naturally over the top. So when
Hmm.
she did her videos, like she just naturally wanted to be over the top for that pop factor. Like I don't know. I just think it has to do with like the personality of the person. And she was a good entertainer.
Yeah, that's part of her whole makeup is like the over the top campy shit. And like you said, she had such a great personality that showed through that a lot of her really big fans wouldn't necessarily be huge fans of her music. They'd just be a fan of her as a person, you know what I mean? Like the baby is one of my favorite modern people in the rap game, but he's not one of my favorite rappers. I just think he's funny as fuck and he seems like he has a really good personality and he's really creative and his stage shows are really cool and but I don't go listen to his audio music very often. But if I see him in a video or something, I'm like, fuck yeah, it's the baby because he's a cool person. You know what I mean?
I think Foxy Brown kind of just like kind of walked around the stage and just kind of bopped around, or got low to the ground, came back up, being nasty, and that was about to the extent of that performance.
Yeah, she never
Right.
had elaborate stage setups or choreography.
Right. It's just mostly, yeah, there's exceptions like Missy Elliott and DaBaby and the people we've talked about are exceptions. But there's always been a lot of lazy performers in rap. It has nothing to do with their gender because you don't see that in other genres, like lazy ass performers that just stand there regardless of their gender.
Now,
I don't know.
granted,
I feel like Taylor Swift has to have backup dancers and stuff. And
you're
like
talking
if
about
you
Taylor Swift. She is not a rapper.
I know, but I'm saying like
Right.
within that genre country, the country males do the same thing. They just stand up there on stage and the
No,
females
Taylor
kind of
Swift
have
is more
more.
no,
pop than country.
no. Some of the country performers, even male, they will actually perform.
Yeah, they do like
I
line
think,
dancing and there's country dancing, bro. They do
right.
like
But
those weird little steps and shit. Yeah, like
Yeah, country singers are usually playing a guitar, so there's
right.
not
You can't
much.
do as much
But
choreography with a
you're saying,
guitar in
so
your
I'm
hand.
confused because Michael Jackson used to dance his ass off and he used to perform. So what are you talking about? Like you're skipping genres. And so it's kind of making it confusing because you're comparing it from one genre to the next genre where there's male performers. So it's not that a female is expected to perform where a male is not expected to perform, but through different genres, different expectations of their entertainment or their performance. They have different expectations. When you are a
so
pop star, your job is to get people to get up, move, dance. Your pop. That's the whole vibe to pop
Right.
I
is
think where
moving.
I think where Sean's getting confused is because, like I said, I think it's a pop star thing to have these elaborate performances, and there are just more female pop stars.
Right, because
true.
like
Right. Like they just
Atari said,
dominate the
Drake
genre nowadays.
performs,
But yeah.
Chris Brown performs, uh, the Weeknd he performs,
now
uh,
the weekend doesn't I mean he He does do some choreography, but he doesn't have like backup dancers and stuff. He like usually is
Well,
solo.
just because you don't have
No, but
backup,
he's
you
not
can
up there
perform
doing nothing.
without.
He makes it look like a scene, or you know what I mean? Like, yeah, he doesn't stand up and dance and shit like that, but he makes it look like a scene. It's not just him up on the stage with his name behind him with him and a microphone. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true.
Like because Elton John's were like that. Like, not everybody's gonna dance, especially if they're also playing an instrument, which I know The Weeknd's not in a lot of his videos, but I'm sure he's capable of it. But yeah, like John Legend or like Elton John or like Adele, or they still make it a theatrical performance, even though they're not going to be like moving around and doing steps and shit. You know what I mean? Where rappers, a lot of them, they don't even try to make it like an engaging performance like that, but it's because, like LaKrysia was getting at, it's been accepted in hip hop for so long, and it's just been the format in hip hop for so long. Where in pop, they always did elaborate as performances as they could for the era that they were in. So of course
It
Taylor
was
Swift couldn't get
right.
away
It was
from it
like a
because she didn't come up.
competition.
Right. If Taylor Swift came up through the rap ranks and she was just like a female rapper, then she could go on stage just up there alone like everybody else. But that's not the lane that she came from. You know what I mean? She comes from a lane where it's expected to actually put on a show. Like if I go to a rap show and I pay money for a rap show and you're just standing there rapping on stage, the worst thing I can think in my head is, well, I got exactly what I was kind of expecting. I got what I paid for. Where if I go to a Taylor Swift show and she's just standing up there with a mic, then I'd be pissed off. I'd feel ripped off because, you know what I mean? That's not what's advertised. That's not what's accepted in the pop world for people at her level, you know?
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, it's just a rap thing. That has nothing to do with gender. Like people who get into that as a living typically enjoy performing. It's only rappers who have the urge to just stand up there with a mic and do nothing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Kind of a different like personality archetype than people that become singers and pop stars.
And then if you think about it too, like watch the music videos are even different. So usually when a performer is performing, they're usually performing the same dance steps that they did in their music video. And even if, like rappers are doing a lot of driving, a lot of flashing, a lot
Or
of
just standing in
like,
weird locations
just
with a bunch of
standing in
people
weird
behind them.
places, you know, holding guns in awkward positions, you know, like throwing money or, you know, at a strip club or doing some shit like that. So it's kind of hard to kind of like replay that on a stage. Like,
a lot of rap
you
videos are
know?
so fucking weird. I'm like, this is real. This isn't like a satire. Like, yeah, it doesn't even seem like it's reality. Yeah, and then it's like, I could never think after 20 years of seeing like the scene with all your friends in front of the chain link fence that I would have seen that for 20 years and then go down and shoot a video and be like, I think I want to do the scene with fucking 100 people behind me in the chain link fence. Like, why do you even have that thought after it's been done 400 times? Like, it's so weird to me that people even decide to do things that were never that enamoring to begin with. Like, does anybody see those scenes and they're like, oh my God, this is so cool, and start like taking screenshots and shit? Like, those are the stupidest scenes, but it's just a bunch of people standing behind them and they're rapping. You know, they're the dumbest scenes in the world.
I think male rappers can't dance. Like a lot of them can't dance. I can't really think of anybody who can dance good that's a rapper.
I don't
That's
think,
but
I
I
don't
mean,
think
you
I've
never
ever
see
seen
them
any
try.
male rapper try to actually dance though.
Right. I was
think-
gonna say, how would you know if they never try?
What did they say? Gangsters don't dance, we boogie.
Well, I think Offset used to be a professional backup dancer. He was in like a Whitney Houston video or something when he was a kid.
Huh?
And he dances in some performances.
He
Not
is
with
pretty
me.
multi-talented, but yeah, I
His
think a few
motion
of
is
them.
his motion is awkward and like he moves kind of like 2 Chainz. Like they move similarly, or like Snoop Dogg. Like they're like have like a tall, lengthy way that they move. Like it's not real fluid. It's kind of like
aside from
choppy and
Chris
stuff.
Brown, the tall ones can't usually dance.
Yeah, yeah, except Chris Brown. And Michael Jackson was pretty tall, wasn't he?
It was a
Oh,
little
well,
harder. No, Michael Jackson wasn't that tall.
I think he was like average height, like 5'9",
Yeah.
5'10".
He wasn't 6 foot.
He wasn't tall or short, but
No,
no.
what the hell? He wasn't that tall.
Yeah, no, he wasn't 6 foot.
No, I think he was average height.
5'9". Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should have been playing the heights game. I would have won.
But yeah, I don't know. A lot of rappers dance really bad. Like I think probably the game might be able to dance because wasn't he like a stripper before?
Yeah.
Have you seen any male rapper try to dance though?
Yes, I've seen Drake try to dance. I've seen Kendrick Lamar try to dance. I've seen Kanye West try and dance. I've seen J. Cole doing his motions in his music video and he can't dance.
After we went through the whole
Doesn't
spectrum of
Drake
the
dance in a lot of his videos?
Who?
Drake.
Yeah.
Yeah, he dances in a lot of his videos and he's really bad at it. He's really, really bad at dancing. He's one of the worst dancers that exists.
Also, since when is Drake a rapper? Hasn't he been making pop music since fucking 2010?
A mix. He
I
has
always
he has
thought Drake
actual
was
rap
more
tracks.
like, I mean, Drake's more, like Nicki Minaj, and like he's a crossover. He's like pop and rap. He's not
But
really.
you're a Nicki
pure
Minaj
rap.
fan. You wouldn't say that Nicki Minaj doesn't have rap songs, like real boom bap rap type stuff.
No, I wouldn't say she doesn't have the songs, but I wouldn't call her like a pure rap artist. I would clearly say she's a crossover artist, just like Drake.
Yeah, that's true. But they definitely get mentioned in the conversation for like top rappers. Like she gets mentioned for top female rapper.
Well, she should. I don't know why he does, but I mean, yeah, I guess that's true. I don't know why on
I
earth
don't
Drake
know why he would be
man.
in the record for top male
Jesus.
rapper either. Because
People
I
will
don't
put him
really
all the
look
way in
at
like the
Drake as
top
a
5
rapper.
and shit. I'm like, I can't take these lists serious. If Drake is in your top like 20, like top 18, I can't take this shit serious. Like
I
I
just
don't
think you haven't
understand
heard
what the
enough of
obsession
his-
with Drake is. Why people try to just make him so good in their head. You know what I mean?
I think you just haven't heard enough of his like actual rap tracks.
I don't want to
more of the
hear his
radio
rap.
stuff.
I think his rap sounds horrible. I personally don't like his rap music. I like more of his like.
Yeah, honestly, if I was gonna listen to boom bap style, there's 50 artists I'd rather listen to before him. Like I think what he's best at is the pop shit. Like yeah,
Me
I don't
too.
care
I
to
would
hear him
rather
doing
listen to
boom
his
bap,
pop
like,
music than his rap music.
yeah, his
He's
pop
not a
stuff's at
rapper.
least
He needs to stay
slightly
in his lane.
tolerable.
He needs to not cross over and stay in his lane.
Nah, when he
Yep.
said, I
Nikki
might
would
be
whoop
too
his
strung out
ass in
on
a fist fight.
confidence, overdose on confidence, starting not to give and stop
No.
fearing the that was hard. Like that was crazy. That went crazy.
Nope, he's a joke.
Or
He's
that's the
not-
motto, Baby YOLO. That whole song motto, or hyphy, or was that what's it called?
Hell yeah, fucking right.
Yeah, that song is crazy. Like
And
his
I
rap
don't
verse
look
on
at
there
that
is
as
hard.
being literally a rap song. That's kind of, I don't know, that's kind of popish to me.
I don't think
Right,
there's
like
anything
do,
on
do
there.
you
is it?
even listen to modern pop? Like you've heard Billie Eilish's beats, haven't you? Like just because it has a rap sounding beat doesn't mean it's a fucking rap song. Like Drake's one of those that he uses a lot of rap sounds in his shit, just like Billie Eilish. But that doesn't mean he's a rapper. You know what I mean? If I go sample Busta Rhymes, that doesn't automatically make it a fucking rap song.
True, but I mean, he did nonstop and Mob Ties and a couple of like actual rap songs. I mean, Mob Ties is kind of singing, but nonstop for sure.
Right, but Rihanna's done things on actual rap songs. So does that make her a rapper? You know what I
Yes,
mean? Like Rihanna's
partially.
choruses for Jay-Z and Eminem, and
I mean, I
not a
would put
rapper.
her.
Yeah,
I would
she
put her
definitely
more in the
you
rapper
cannot put
category than Chris
Rihanna-
Brown.
like is
you
Alicia
can
Keys a
definitely
rapper?
not
Like
put Rihanna up against like Remy Ma. Even Remy Ma,
Right.
she wouldn't even be able to touch her. Like
Right,
you cannot
like
even
if-
put them in the same category. No,
Right.
it doesn't
You don't think?
fit.
You don't think
and
Rihanna
Drake would
could
be
have
closer
out-rapped
to the
Remy Ma?
Rihanna category than the Remy Ma category. Like Drake would be closer to that side.
If you put Drake up against Jay-Z, I think, or Eminem, if you put Drake up against them, I think Eminem would smash Drake.
Definitely.
Oh, all these people from like the
Smash
mid-late
Drake.
90s would, like, which is why I don't understand why they put Drake so high. Yeah, like, and then there's
Nah, they've
also
only-
modern slept on people that would fucking destroy him, like Ab-Soul and like
Yeah.
Denzel Curry, and like there's underground people that would just rip him to shreds. Yeah, even
mean,
Action
he's got
Bronson and
Dr.
like yeah.
He's got Dr. Seuss raps. Like
Uh-huh.
to me, it's like they're juvenile. Like it is what it is. I mean,
Right,
they're
it's like when
great.
you take an
They're-
adult
they're-
concept and make it into a kid show. Like that's Drake's brand. Yeah, yeah.
Drake is in. Drake is in conversation with Lil Wayne, like for actual writing, like stuff. He
In your
writes
head.
stuff. He writes stuff that can get pulled out and put right onto a caption for like Instagram or something. Like it's well written and it's catchy and it's like very. It's like another level of like earworm type stuff. He's very good at what he does.
I've made
But
much more Gucci Mane lyrics my Instagram captions than Drake.
that's what I feel like you
Like,
guys
So,
are
and
talking
that's your
about. I feel like you
metric,
guys are
and
talking
Gucci is
about
the greatest
Gucci
rapper
Mane.
of all time.
I've
you
certainly
know,
never
I'm not
used a
Atari
Drake quote.
Monroe. I'm not gonna sit here and say that Drake is trash, but Drake definitely is not. I would not consider him a rap artist, and not even a crossover artist. He dabbles in that. I think just for fun, like for the entertainment shock factor. Like, wow, I did that, but he's not. No, 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 no. We're not gonna even do rap like that. That's fine.
Drake is
Cut
cold,
it.
man.
Cut it.
He won
Yeah, you got no defense squad on this one, man. You're in here all alone.
He did forever. He was like, it was like his freshman year in the industry. Like right out, he did like some stuff with Trey Songz and stuff before, but none of that hit. The first thing that hit was like that.
What, So
Baby,
Far
You
Gone?
Might
It was very successful.
What?
So Far Gone, the mixtape, none of that hit? Are you serious?
But I'm saying before, so that
That's
he
what made him
came out with
big.
some music. He came out with some music that really hit. You the best, you the best. That song was like his break-in hit. That was the song that put him in the industry. So other stuff had done numbers, but like a
Fucking
couple
best.
100,000. They
You the
did
fucking
better now.
best.
But forever.
I don't know. I don't know. Me personally, like I said, I like the song and I vibes to the song, but I don't necessarily consider it like that type of rap song. Like
Which
I
song?
don't put it in the same. You the fucking best. That's the song you talking about, right?
No. I'm not talking about that. I'm saying that was the hit that broke him into the industry. Right after that, he did the song Forever, and he was on there with Kanye West, Lil Wayne, and Eminem, and he kept up with all three of those people. Like none of them outshined him on the track. I don't think.
That has nothing to do with if it's pop or if it's rap. I mean, think of the Forever chorus and tell me you couldn't picture Rihanna singing that exact chorus. Man, I mean nothing.
Wait. But first of all,
think about it.
Go
Like,
back.
that's not a rapper chorus.
That he was on the tape with. You said Lil Wayne. Lil Wayne writes a lot of, kind of writes some of his music. Lil Wayne put Drake out. So of course they would be kind of within the same level. And if Lil Wayne is writing the song and he's writing the lyrics, it's gonna flow.
Right, but it's his delivery and like the full package that makes Drake like.
If
so
somebody
great.
writes me a rap song, I need to be a damn rapper too. What the hell?
Forever is a rap song. Forever is by far a rap song. None of the choruses to rap songs usually in modern era are
you
rap.
want to talk about a rap artist. A rap artist, you could take two rap artists and put them in a battle and they will be able to, battle it out. You cannot put Drake in a battle with a rap artist and think Drake is going to even swim. He's going to be sinking.
That's crazy because
he's going to drown.
He battled Meek Mill and he battled Pusha T, and he did some pretty hard stuff against both of them.
When did he battle either of them?
Kick Shawn out the chat.
Back to back, which people
that's not a battle. That's a diss track.
Mute Shawn. Kick Shawn out the chat.
And the diss track is like diss tracks are usually thought about. It's not something that's like, here, give me a beat. I'm about to boop, boop, bop, bop, and come up with a rap song. But I'm saying like, put them in a battle, a freestyle battle. Drake is going to
that's a whole different conversation because Lil Wayne can't freestyle. I mean, he
and I don't put Lil Wayne in the category with Jay-Z either as a rapper.
You wouldn't put Lil Wayne in the conversation with Jay-Z?
But I think Jay-Z
Lil
would
Wayne and Jay-Z.
Eminem would eat Lil Wayne's ass up.
Ew. No, he wouldn't.
Weezy is a joke. I love his music. I can't even I love his music. Fireman, it was fire. Okay, I love Weezy, but he's a different type of artist. He's like more. I don't know.
I can't be alone on this one. I mean, Lil Lil Wayne would definitely outdo Eminem any day. Like
I don't think so.
Lil Wayne is just hard. Like he's just hard. There's nobody
He's
harder than
creative.
Lil Wayne.
He's very creative.
Not even Drake. Not even Drake is harder than Lil Wayne.
No,
So
Drake is
inconsistent. You think Wayne would outdo Eminem, but Gucci is trash? Like it's all inconsistent. None of it even lines up.
Look, Gucci is like bottom of the barrel, very trash, like 2 Chainz or Quavo on some songs. Like he's very bad.
Gucci and 2 Chainz is as bad as Quavo. First off, Quavo's not a rapper either. Quavo's one of those pop artists. He's the pop guy in the group. He's not a rapper like Takeoff and Offset.
That's why I mentioned him. Slim Jimmy.
Quavo's clearly a pop artist. He is all he does is the auto-tune singing.
But you compared a pop artist to a rap artist. How do you do that?
He's just searching for any means to justify this complete nonsense. Like nothing he says has any consistency.
God,
it doesn't even.
I need you to compare apples and apples and not apples and oranges.
Quavo, Slim Jimmy, Gucci Mane, 2 Chainz. These people, Lil Yachty. These people are all very similar in talent and actually making music. Riff Raff, like people like that. Those people are all very similar.
Wait a minute. You cannot put Gucci Mane and fucking Riff Raff in the same. Like
tied. If they was to sit there and battle, like they would just be a dead tie. Like nobody would.
They're all better than Drake. Gucci Mane and Riff Raff actually have a collab that's better than anything Drake's ever made.
Oh my god.
Danny Brown's on there too. It's Riff Raff, Drake, and collab. Riff Raff, Drake, and no, not Drake's whack ass. Riff Raff, Danny Brown, and Gucci.
No, but Lil Wayne is like, so Drake is the go overall, like in overall like music ability, image, career path, everything. Drake is like the goat overall. But Lil Wayne in technical skill and music ability,
Drake's
especially
like the
writing,
goat overall.
especially writing. Lil Wayne takes that. Even
Lil Wayne is a good writer, but just because you're a good writer does not mean you're a good freestyle artist. It just doesn't. Lil Wayne is definitely creative. He's creative, but he's not at the level of Eminem. Where Eminem, you can give him a subject, or like Snoop, you can give them a subject and they can flow about it and create a whole song in 3 minutes.
Yeah,
like literally, that's the type of shit that I'm talking about. Like a freestyle battle. Yeah,
off the top.
No. That's not going to help Drake's case.
Even like if you look at URL, or Smack TV or any of those like those rap battle leagues where it's professional rap battling, where Charlie Clips and Conceited and stuff come from,
all those guys think Drake's a joke. All those guys think Drake's a joke. All of the battle rappers that make money and make a living battle rap.
Their events.
They all think Drake's a clown.
They go to his events.
I'm sure he's entertaining. He's very entertaining. Nobody's denying that, but he's not a rapper.
I think most of the fans at Drake shows are probably just holograms. What I heard, LaKrysia, is it's real nice when you go to Drake shows and it's really easy to walk straight to the bar because they only have real people and it's like the first 4 or 5 rows. And then I guess the rest are just hologram projection fans. So if you get hungry or something, you just walk through all the holograms, you know what I mean? You don't have to like skim through people like at other people's shows. And it's really easy to walk around, move around if you want to get the space, you know. But yeah, I hear they're just digitally enhanced audiences and then they actually play crowd cheers over the speakers. So the people there get the experience. Like there's a whole bunch of fans, you know, a whole bunch of us in here. So people like Shawn are like, oh, this is so cool. There's thousands of us Drake fans, you know. But it's just like 30 people just pushed up in the front row.
And 50 Cent bought out the concert and he was the only person there. Is that kind of how
right? That's pretty much what they are, except it's not somebody else doing it. It's Drake's people himself buying all the tickets. And then they're like, cool, we got 25 real people to show up to this one. Looks like Shawn Bender's ready to come. Shawn Bender shows up in his Drake t-shirt.
If you take freestyle ability out of it, because that's a whole different skill set. If you just exclusively look at writing, the only person giving Lil Wayne a run for his money is Kendrick Lamar.
I think if you take any and all skill,
as far as writing, because Kendrick Lamar won a Pulitzer Prize, but Lil Wayne outrights him with metaphors and actual.
Are we talking about? Are we talking about rappers? Or are we talking about all together? What are we doing?
I mean, I don't know how many music artists have won Pulitzer Prizes. I think rap is one of the most complex forms of writing that exists for music.
Okay. Well, you said because you like to talk about pop artists and rap artists and country artists all in the same category. So I just want to make sure that we're talking about writers for rap artists.
He's
No, I mean,
just
you can-
making anything try to work to make Drake look somewhat,
Because Jay-Z is an
appealing
awesome
to
writer.
us.
I don't care for Jay-Z's music, but Jay-Z is a great artist and he is a great writer and he's done awesome things as well. So I don't know about that now.
I mean, it's not
Right.
writing.
He's just
Lil
trying
Wayne,
to do
though.
some jujitsu to get to a place where Drake looks decent. So he's just grasping at anything he can, making illogical statements, you know what I mean? Just people like actors and stuff like that and comedians who aren't even artists like that. There's people who have just played artists in films that could body Drake. Like Joaquin Phoenix could body Drake. Like there's people who don't even fucking do rap professionally. Shia LaBeouf could body Drake. There's people who don't even do music professionally that could body Drake. You know what I mean?
Shia
Hannibal
LaBeouf
Buress.
is an okay example because Shia LaBeouf is pretty ridiculous, like just
Oh,
talented
he's
in
a
everything he
beast
does.
off the
But
head. Yeah, he's actually a really dope
Yeah.
freestyler. Yeah,
He's fire.
freestyle on Sway in the Morning. Shia
Shia
LaBeouf?
on there. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's one of like the only places he's freestyled on like a big outlet. But yeah, he can rap.
Yeah, it was actually pretty crazy. I mean, but that's freestyling. That's a different thing than what I'm talking
Joaquin
about
Phoenix
overall.
did a movie where he was in studios with rappers and shit like that. Like Joaquin would body Drake too. This is literally gonna end up like a fucking 20-minute clip of you trying to sell 3 people on Drake with some of the most ridiculous stances of all time. I
What
can't
you
even
guys
believe this is a real clip. Yeah, we have to wait until the episodes that Shawn's not part of the panel to talk about music, I guess, because he just has some wacky takes when it comes to music.
How do you feel about socialism and how it impacts the economy?
If done wrong, it's really bad. If done right, it's probably really good. It just depends on what elements you take that are socialist in nature. But definitely, if done wrong, it's a horrible, horrible approach to economics.
I don't think any political ideology is ideal when it's executed 100%. I think what's best once we can actually take the two parties out of the equation and Cult of Love takes over, I think what's best is that you have elements from different things. Like there's some elements of socialism that would be great. There's elements of all ideologies that would be great. So I think democracy is the best when it's actually in the people's hand, because with a democracy, you can take elements from all these different ideologies. So I would never encourage like full socialism. But like I said, I would never encourage any ideology fully across the board other than a democracy where different ideologies could kind of reside in different parts of the country and the people vote that in. And if the people don't like it, the people can move around within the country, but they have different places to go. You know what I mean? So regardless if it was socialism or communism or whatever the fuck, anything other than a democracy, which is a true democracy where we can get it to where the power is really all in the people's hands, then I wouldn't want anything fully across the board. It's just like if the people determine this socialist plan is good, like say a monthly UBI, like a monthly universal income, we can put that in and adapt that in. We don't have to just go full socialist mode, So I think it should be like customly comprised from different ideologies based on what the people want and what works, and the people vote to keep that way,
Yeah, I don't think with the way the country is set up and with our history, we could ever transform, like fully get away from capitalism. But I do believe
True.
that incorporating a lot of elements from socialism would be good for the economy.
Yeah, the more popular stuff like universal healthcare is probably not gonna ever work, because in places where they practice that, the economy actually falls apart.
Could you cite some sources on that one?
Even if it is falling apart, that's not a direct effect of things like that. That's just they're taking the money from the wrong places. Like we've spoke about it before. Like you can do these things like healthcare and college and like universal payments without fucking everything over and raising anybody's taxes very significantly. You just take money out of other funds and other things that there's so many different things that exist. Like I could pull some up because Tulsi's cited multiple of them. But you can take away just completely unneeded budgets from a lot of other places without taxing people higher.
I feel like socialism it kind of controls people's lives. There's a lot of rules behind socialism when you're getting things so-called free from the government, which really ain't free because they're actually taking it out of our paychecks and then saying that it's free. But it really impacts a lot of things. And I feel like we as a people, like Atari said, like we really need to be able to, I don't think federalism should be allowed at all. And we should be able to run our trade freely. Like if I have a skill, I don't think the government should be able to regulate my skill. If someone is willing to take on the risk, knowing that I'm untrained in a certain area or I have this training and experience, they sign their waiver, they know this, they're accepting. Unless I do something just completely negligent, I don't think they should, you should be able to do things that you need to do to do that. If I feel like I want to make a cake out of my house and I want to sell it, or if I want to make food out of my house, or if I want to, watch people's children, unless I'm just pure out negligent beating people's kids, I should be able to do that without the government regulating my trade or my skills or my talents or my gifts or my abilities. Like you didn't give them to me. Why the hell should you be able to regulate it because I'm trading it or selling it for money? Like I just don't think that.
Right. So it's wrong, but their MO to begin
with. At the grocery store, they tax us in everything that we do, and then you want to tax my fucking money on top of that and tell me that you're gonna take money out of my check to put it away to save for me for a fucking rainy day, and then when I need it for a rainy day, I gotta come to you and beg your ass to prove to you that I actually need my fucking money back? Bitch, please give me my shit.
So I found some things that go along the lines of what I was saying. They are saying online that Cuba is a socialist economy. And I found about 2 to 3. I found 2 and then 1 that was kind of inferring that, but 2 that concretely said that they were socialist. And then I found another source that said that the average income is like 5,300 something because of the oil trade. But the actual average take-home pay in a week is about $20.
Yeah, I think we both misunderstood what you were looking up, or at least I did. I thought you were looking up places in America that have implemented like.
Oh, no. America, I think the closest to socialism we have is California.
I thought you were looking at universal health care. Right.
Okay. I thought you were looking at something connected to healthcare here, and places that have tried to do that locally have failed or gone broke. Or, yeah, we weren't talking about whole socialist countries. All 3 of us right here said that we wouldn't want full socialism. So why would that be prevalent? You know what I mean? But to what LaKrysia was saying, yeah, it's fucked up that they try to jump in and get another piece of the pie there. But it also just shows how important like our commerce is to them. So like Kai said, the capitalism element will never fully go away. They'll just try to implement the socialism type things that actually can work without fucking up anything else too badly. Because like when you go, and free is a terrible word, like LaKrysia said, none of it's actually free. Like it would never be free. They're always going to get it on the back end. You pay for that. Right, you pay for that. They're always gonna get that back anyway. You know what I mean? Like LaKrysia said, they literally tax you if you go to the grocery store. So just being a citizen of the world and not being dead, they're gonna get that money back. So there's no reason we shouldn't be able to implement a way that you could just go to college or go to the hospital without stressing about it, because you're constantly giving them money. You know what I mean? So free is a terrible word. And the way that they call it free is probably why it looks bad. But yeah, it's never free. What's that, LaKrysia?
I said they're giving it. We ain't giving them shit. They take it.
Right, exactly.
Permission to take out no FICA, no Medicare, no Social Security, no whoever the hell that is that they taking out of my damn page. I didn't give them permission to do that shit.
That's true. Yeah, we're really not even doing it by choice. But yeah, they're taking those taxes back. So it's like if I have a pain in my stomach, I should be able to fucking go to the doctor without having to worry about, God damn it, this is gonna fuck up my whole year. You know what I mean? Like,
so Canada
Right. I
has
literally pay taxes to keep the hospital afloat.
right,
but
like
then
why am I
gotta-
paying taxes if then when I'm in dire need, I can't get help for free? Yeah, it's insane. Like, what is the point? Why am I
so Canada has like one of the closest things to universal health care, and I've heard at least 3 or 4 times, and I looked it up and they were saying a similar thing, that the wait time in emergency situations such as cancer treatment and stuff like that can be months, and can actually, like, you can pass away before you get treatment in some situations when it's that close to on the line. That would be an example that I can personally.
Like that here. And you
Yeah,
still
that almost happened to one of my friends. Like when you're in the hospital here, they still prioritize, you know what I mean, certain cases and certain people and certain demographics and certain ages. And so sometimes people will be almost like ignored or not got to, and they can die beforehand. Like that's not a product of the free healthcare. That unfortunately is
I
just
mean,
something that happens in populated places.
as it is in parts of America, it's nowhere near what I've heard from Canada.
I mean, I haven't heard a ton of horror stories. I've heard similar things happen to, like me and Kai said, happen here on a regular basis when we're still coming out of pocket for it, you know. So
And here it's saying that the care tends to be reactive instead of proactive, because it's just a list of pros and cons.
that's the same way these hospitals work. That's a
and
condensed
they're
way to say
paying-
what I was just trying to tell you. Yeah.
No, but if you go in and you have a tumor, they're gonna do what they can to biopsy it and make sure that it's
No,
not
they're not.
cancerous.
First of all, they're not even going to know that it's a tumor. So what they're going to do is tell you that they're going to try to succumb to your pain so that you can be comfortable. And then they're going to send you home and tell you to follow up with your PCP. That's what the fuck they do to you. I just went through that like 4 times. And I have my damn whole leg is numb. Can't feel it. And I was sent home. They didn't try to figure out why my leg was numb. I'm losing fucking feeling in my whole damn leg. They didn't give a flying fuck. They just wanted to make sure.
Right. Like you have to literally be like right on the edge of death for them to just move you right to the top of the depth chart. Like
I said, I have fibroids in my uterus and the pain is like super intense. It's horrible. And for years I was going to emergency rooms, gynecologists, everyone. They just like, well, everyone has pain on their period. You're fine. And it took years to get a diagnosis. And a lot of
it takes forever sometimes when you have a real issue to get to a doctor who will even like acknowledge it. It's insanity. Yeah. I've had situations like that with myself and friends and family. Yeah.
And then it's crazy because I was just recently in the emergency room and the craziest shit happened to me. So I was in the emergency room for like a whole hour before they tried to relieve my pain. But then this older white guy next to me, he came in. Now, mind you, an hour after I did, first of all, they presumed the fact that I was an opiate user by telling me they don't prescribe opiates to people anymore because of the opiate crisis, and then proceeded to tell a white man who came in next to me an hour later, oh, don't worry, we'll get you some help right away and make sure that you're comfortable.
Right. Like I said, it's based on a plethora of like demographics and shit like that. Like the friend that I almost lost, like he was black and had HIV. So like those are 2 factors that they're going to move him right to the bottom of the list. Like we knew the only way he was going to survive was if the hospital just didn't get that crowded over that weekend. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And
that American doctors actually believe that Black women have a higher pain tolerance.
Oh,
which
wow.
is obviously not true, but it's caused like a lot of deaths and a lot of misdiagnoses.
Right, because it's like those factors, they move them to the bottom of like the priority list when they're going through all the patients. Exactly. So we were like scared shitless about my friend. We were like, we think he can fight through this, but they might never fucking operate on him. You know what I mean? Like,
is that
and I've literally told my doctors, like, I do have a very high tolerance for pain, a very high tolerance, but I have a very low tolerance for medication, which is why I try not to do it. So I think like I push myself, even though I'm in pain, And so it's kind of like, oh, well, if you're in such pain, why do you keep moving? Why do you keep going? It's like I have to, like I can't just stop going because I'm in pain. But that doesn't mean that I'm not in pain. It just means that I'm trying to work through the pain to do what I have to do to live my life. But I'm in pain
Right.
every day, every day.
Okay, are you saying that women don't have a higher pain tolerance than men?
No, they believe that Black women specifically even have a higher pain tolerance than white women. So if a Black woman goes into, like, regardless of what the pain is, regardless of the field of medicine, our pain isn't taken as seriously.
That's interesting.
It's
I don't know.
nuts.
Do you think biologically we're the same?
Yeah, this belief has no medical basis. It's just something that is just kind of in their heads. They just assume so.
Right. We're not
Like,
biologically exactly the same in those kind of elements, Sean, but it's not based on race. It just differs from person to person. So they still couldn't block it altogether, and because they've come across a Black woman who had a high pain tolerance, assume that, oh, they all must have a much higher pain tolerance than white. You know what I mean? Like, we all do have different levels of pain tolerance and shit like that, of course, but it's not based on your racial makeup.
Yeah,
yeah, if you look it
I
up,
don't know.
like that's why
Guess if
Black
there
women
is,
die more during childbirth and during surgeries because they don't take our pain as seriously.
because I've always believed that we were genetically all the same, like mental health wise, everything was the same. But
Oh no,
I'm
there's
starting to
thousands of
feel
different
like
combinations
maybe
of a person.
there is some differences. Not like somebody's worse than the other one or something like that, but maybe there is some differences because like Black people are the only people who can get sickle cell, right?
I
As
know
far
there's
as I know,
certain.
Black people are the only people who can get sickle cell. And then, for instance, Black people don't traditionally sunburn. Um, like there's like uh there's like a thing with like the speed that people run at. Like a lot of times, Black people run a little faster. But I don't know if those are just stereotypes or if that's just the way things have worked out. Um, for instance, like just like the country of Jamaica produces some of the fastest people in the world. And I don't think it's the same for Africa. So I don't know if it's just genetically like those families have some of the fastest people because there was also like some tribes of natives that before they put sugar in their diet, they were real fast runners. Um, so yeah, that's just kind of curious to me.
They tell us that like certain groups are more susceptible to certain diseases and shit like that. But even there, I don't know how much I believe a lot of that shit. You know what I mean?
I hear women like tell their childbirth stories, and it seems like non-melanated people have rougher stories than like the people I've seen that are Black have childbirth stories, but not
There
always
was a
across the
lot of
board.
times
But
where Black women died in childbirth because they weren't taken seriously. And granted, they have like I was in labor literally for 72 freaking hours. 72 hours. They kept telling me, "Oh, there's nothing we can do. You're not dilating." They kept sending me home. 72 hours I was in labor. My contractions were consistent, but like literally 3 minutes of like coming back to back, like they were just coming, and I wasn't dilating, but yet they weren't trying to do anything about it either.
A
Like,
lot of times with us, we could tell a doctor exactly what's going on. We could know all of the medical terminology. We could pinpoint exact symptoms, and they'll tell us, no, it's not that bad. It's not that serious. You're fine. And that happens to a lot of Black women, and Black women, like LaKrysia said, die during childbirth to this day. Like, that hasn't, like with white women, the like deaths during childbirth have gone down, but with us, it's consistently high. And it's a lot higher than it is with white women.
Yeah, and outside of childbirth, outside of childbirth, just like you were saying with the issue you had where you had to go to multiple doctors, like with that, like all women deal with that. Like they'll just not diagnose women and act like women are crazy, you know what I mean? Like it definitely moves them further down like the depth chart in like severe situations for also being Black. But doctors I've noticed will just bullshit the hell out of like women, like, you know what I mean? And they'll never take anything serious, and it's kind of crazy.
I'm just
Because I've
wondering
seen
if
that happen with family.
I'm
Like, I
wondering if
mean,
there's anything to the thought that maybe Black women do maybe have a higher pain tolerance, but I don't know.
No, No, it's
Yeah,
pure
I
medical
don't think so.
racism.
There's no proof to anything like that. Yeah. Just some people have really high pain tolerances. Some of them are white, some of them are black, some of them are Japanese, some are, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't have enough data at all, so I won't make a case for or against it. But
It's completely, it's just medical racism. That's why more Black people have been dying from the coronavirus. We don't get it more, we just get ignored more.
mhm.
Right. Yeah, it's just further down the chart in crowded hospitals. And yeah, it's not like you're more susceptible to it, or black people are more susceptible to get the corona. Like we would all get it. It's just like LaKrysia's situation. If like a white person that didn't seem like a drug addict or anything like that went in there, they would just quickly get addressed and go right back home. You know what I mean?
I think that racism is a bigger issue in America than capitalism. I think capitalism would work if you took racism out of it. Love
True. If
to,
everybody had an equal chance to fucking climb the ladder through capitalism, then absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I'd agree with that.
But it's
yes, I don't think.
impossible to do that at this point. It's too ingrained into the
But yeah,
culture.
when the
So you
racism
have
is
to
in the
add
people
everything.
running the institutions, the people running the prisons, the people running the hospitals, the people, it's a lot of fucking people you have to push out. Like it's going to be a process,
But we
even if
can't
everybody's
can't
on
say it
board.
hasn't gotten better though. We can't say that. Like it hasn't not got better. It's definitely got much better. Steps are being made in the right direction. It's not as bad as it used to be, obviously, because people were literally in slavery. And then there was different forms of slavery that proceeded to happen throughout, just through time and stuff till the point that we're at now, to where the forms of slavery we have now are not anywhere near the physical what we used to go through before. But still, of course, like we've talked about in other episodes, prison and stuff like that is real. Like those are real things that go on. Um, but
Yeah, we're not saying things aren't better. We're just saying, well, I kind of believe it's just, is the trajectory, are we still getting better, or were we getting better to a certain point and now we're not, or we're going back down? You know what I mean? Like that's the question. There's no doubt that this is better than people being enslaved. I don't think anybody'd be disputing that. But from the point that we're currently at, like really 2016ish, like it feels like it's gone more down than continued to progress and get better and get more fair. You know what I mean?
yeah, it's better in the aspect of like 75% of white people aren't actively thinking that we're like not human, um and stuff like that. Like it doesn't feel that
That
way.
never
Like
mattered.
they
I
don't give
don't
that
care if
vibes
you
off.
think I'm human as long as you'll still hire me. You know what I mean? I don't give
Exactly.
a
I was just
fuck if
about to
you
say
think
that. I
I'm
don't care
human.
if you think
Like
I'm
what the hell
human.
does that matter? We're talking about racist people being in power. Like I don't give a shit if somebody looks at me as human as long as they're not going to not hire me because I'm not human in their eyes. Who fucking cares? As long as you pay me the same and give me the same opportunities. If my non-human ass is really good at this job,
Yeah, it's like I shouldn't have to still hide my afro in 2020. Like I shouldn't have to go
right.
by Kai instead of Kyrie because one might sound more ghetto than the other to these employers. I shouldn't have
Girl,
to
you
get
know
white
what's
people.
funny? I literally, Kai, so when I go to an interview, I literally wear my natural hair on purpose, intentionally, because if I go to that interview and you don't hire me, that means I didn't need to be there. If you hire me in my natural state, then I am gonna be so comfortable at your company because I know you're gonna accept me in my natural state as who I am. Because I
Yeah,
don't want to. I don't, me personally, like I told you earlier, I was like, I love your natural hair. Like that's who I am, and that's who I feel like we should be as people. We need to embrace who we are, who God created us to be, how God made us with our tight locks, our curly, whatever they want to call it. Like I shouldn't have to straighten my hair in order to be acceptable to society. Who are you to tell me that? Like
yeah.
that's
I
not how my
definitely
hair grows.
I'm
Yeah,
never gonna take
I'm a
my
firm
hair.
believer in that too. Like I get where you're coming from, Kai, but yeah, I would rather just show them, and obviously there's less situations that affect me when they see me as a white person most of the time. But I would in any situation want to just give them all of me from the start rather than just end up happy I'm hired and then 3 months later they hire me over some racial shit. Like I would rather just know right from the fucking start. So I'm just gonna go in there completely me. And if they
Yeah, I
hire me,
still
then I'm
go
like,
in
oh,
there
okay, obviously this is
alpha,
a
but
fairly safe place to be myself. But if they don't hire me, then like LaKrysia said, I'm like, well, I probably wouldn't want to be here anyway. And they're just going to end up firing me for some shit 3 months down the line. And then I'm stuck in the same position. And you know what I mean?
Yeah, I still go in there with my afro, but I have girls come up to me all the time. They're like, I can't believe you wear your hair like that to work. They let you do that? Like, this is the way my hair grows out of my fucking head. Why? What do you mean, let me do that? What are they going to do?
Right. Damn, you must have been working at like a conservative RAN type. Because I usually go to call centers that are like ran by either black or gay or both liberals. So then when I know that that's the ownership, like it's, you know what I mean? It's a whole different like playing field. So like all the black women have their hair very natural because it's like liberally ran. So the people at the top aren't going to come down on them for that. If anything, they're going to be preferential because you know how a lot of times the left will like lift up the people of color. Like, so if anything, they're going to be less worried about you, you know? So yeah, you just got to get to the right fucking companies because there's cool ass companies that are ran by like black or gay people that they don't give a fuck about that, or there's not going to be people wondering why they let you get hired. You know what I mean? But New York, I didn't realize how much of New York was red. It's really only New York City, and then a lot of New York is like conservative, huh?
That's literally all of America.
Right. Yeah,
Most,
like it's just
the
the
majority of
city
America
parts.
is
I
red.
know what you meant. Yeah, the city parts are the
Yeah,
rural and the rural. Yeah,
land wise. So like
that is
most
how
high
they're pretty much
schools,
all set up here too.
most
And
high
there,
schools in
yeah.
America, like the majority, probably like 75% of high schools, you're gonna have the majority of the student parents are red. But then because there's densely populated areas like 5A schools and stuff, and those are in areas that are gonna be blue. So obviously Maricopa just turned blue, and like Clark County and certain New York and Los Angeles County and some of these places are turning blue, and those are like the most densely populated areas in the United States. But then if you look out at like just the land mass, like instead of the population, then you're looking at mostly red. So I mean, it's just weird. I don't know why the higher populated area seems to always be blue.
Because they're not making as much money.
That makes sense.
Like overall, you know what I mean? Farmers make so much fucking money, bro. The people that live in the rural areas and distribute food to all these fucking stores and restaurants, and that's where all that food comes from, is all these rich motherfuckers in the rural area. Like that's where we get our food, you know what I mean?
And they're more religious in rural areas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they're very, very Christian. That's true. They're very Christian specifically. Yeah. Because there's a lot of religious people in New York, but there's multiple religions, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where like a lot of these, like the rural New York City, but a lot of the rural places, yeah, it's like 90% fucking Christian, 95% Christian. Like where the cities are always melting pots. So you can never really fully take over. Like we're usually blue, but we don't landslide a lot of them either. You know, a lot of them are pretty close races.
I think there's some credence to this third party, or eliminating the parties actually possibly going to happen, because I think a lot of faith was lost for blue and red, based on the candidates that were chosen and stuff. I think a lot of faith got lost. I mean, how it's being spun, like they're saying like everything that is being said in the White House right now is not true, and then there's just bad policies, crime bills, stuff like that. A lot of stuff negatives now from both sides. I think there's some credence to the fact that there will be some kind of changeover, but I just hope it's really not socialism. That
Look at
like
that, Shawn. Shawn is waking up. That's major progress that you actually see that Trump's been repulsive to so many. Before you couldn't even understand why. It's good that you're finally starting to see it for what it is. That's impressive. I think that's a big moment. You know what I mean?
Don't get me wrong.
It's a really big moment. He's been on here
I do
11
think that-
episodes like Trump was his hero, and
No, I do think that there's a reality of what happened, like real life.
no, Shawn is in the zone tonight. Like, what did they slip into Shawn's drink? Shawn is on fire tonight. Only one bad joke. He's making a lot of good points, sounding like a smart person. Shawn is bringing the heat this evening.
I think that there's a reality to what's going on. I think that there was a lot of stuff that needs to be investigated of what happened in the election, but I think that a record number of people turned out for Joe Biden, so that's an indicator of what that America did feel let down by Trump. But I think that the reason they felt that way is because of the mainstream media. I don't think they felt that way because of his actual actions. So that's what I'm
But
saying.
you
I think
did,
that
and that's all that's important. You saw it. So I mean, it doesn't matter what the crazy complete, as long as his logical supporters saw it, it doesn't really matter what his completely brain dead supporters think, because all that really matters is the supporters like you. Like there's no changing the minds of, it's just like the extreme left. There's no changing the minds of the people extremely on one side, you know what I mean?
I
But it is.
do think that they need to investigate and make sure that the elections are ran fairly. So even if Biden did win in the legitimate vote, that it's counted the right way, so that you see the actual numbers that happen, not what's being reported, which is like
Of
they're
course.
saying, oh, we investigated and we found 3,000 cases of people being deceased in voting, and the mainstream media just turns around and says that didn't even happen. That's really scary that that's going on. They need to revamp that. They need to make the news honest again.
I mean, I get what you're saying. I had a point, but then I lost it. I don't know if it was a very good one or not.
Might have actually legitimately.
Oh yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Yeah, it's fine for Trump to seek the recounts and do all of this behind the scenes. It's actually way more normal than you think. It's actually what most people do when they're losing an election. But you understand the harm now to him behaving how he's been behaving through this whole process, right? Because it's like we're trying to move to where it's a real democracy, and then this is just making everybody think that there's no way a real democracy can work, because it's making a lot of people question if they're legitimate or not. So it's like it
It's
just doesn't
harmful
make
if it turns
headlines
out
because
that
they
he
don't
was
act like a
wrong.
big baby. You know what I mean?
It's harmful if it turns out that he was wrong. If he was incorrect in every element, which is what the courts are starting to say now. The courts,
Oh,
not
it's
the
harmful
news.
either way now that he's behaved how he's behaved. Like that's what I'm saying. It's kind of a lose-lose now, and it's gonna change the way people perceive. Well, it's not a full lose-lose because it's probably how I come to power. Like I kind of needed everybody to see that both sides are all just a sham, and that the whole thing is just a complete fucking joke. So I mean, it's kind of a good thing when you break it down, because that's how incredible leaders like Atari Monroe like emerge in history and world history. You know what I mean? So it's fine. The cult of love is building. You know what I mean? If you want to join cult of love, just hit my line. At Atari Monroe, wherever you're at.
I don't know how much of that you're saying with like this is 100% the plan or whatever, with
This is
the
100%
naming
the
and
plan.
everything, but so because you may call it something else or whatever, like whatever, or somebody else may get the same idea and do the same thing, but I think something like that needs to happen. They need to eliminate the party system, which I think was the goal of what they were doing in the Trump presidency. And then we've done some research and I've seen Gabbard, and it looks like that's similar to what her goal is eliminating a two-party system. And I think that that's the best thing for the country, is to eliminate that, because it's not how it started. It started out as just Federalist or Whig Party, and that's what everybody was. And it just slowly divided and divided and divided until it broke into these two different parties. And aspects like slavery divided it up, abortion divided it up, gay marriage divided it up, just real big issues like that divided up the people into those two different parties. And they need to take that divisiveness out of it. That's really unhealthy and hard
Yeah,
to.
the people kind of did it, but it's fell out of the people's hands. Now it's just in the elite peoples that have their money tied into the two major parties' hands. Like it's the system isn't even what anybody wanted it to be on any side. You know what I mean?
Well, if they abolish the two-party system, I feel like you'd have to start from the ground up, because we know who are Republicans now, we know who are Democrats now. So I think those beefs would still be there if these people are still in politics.
So start with completely new candidates.
Yeah, I don't
Right.
know
It
if
can't just be
Power.
president. You have to get nonpartisans throughout all the fucking ranks
yeah.
to break down the system. You know what I mean? Like, and like you said, it could be anybody. But what I'm trying to do, starting in Nevada and Arizona and then stem out, is exactly get independence. It doesn't necessarily have to be multiple parties. It should just be no parties where you're voting on the person's platforms, so then everything comes together and mirrors America, because a party can't have certain pull. So if you're in Detroit and it's like this candidate's perfect for Detroit, he's not going to get fucked because he's an independent. He'll be able to just get right in because it's always independent, so you have to take over like whole states to where like it would be a slow like seeding out process, unless, like you said, right away other people just were like, oh, this is a great idea, I'm going to start trying to implement this in my city. And then you just have to have a bunch of people start running and shit like that, you know what I mean? The same way that the Republicans and Democrats,
and slowly work your way up.
right, like the same way the Republicans and Democrats like create these candidates and then work them up through the ranks, you know what I mean? We'd have to be like building our own candidates and encouraging other intelligent people to jump in, you know what I mean, and run for offices and shit, like influential smart people, like, and not run as a major party. Like that's the key issue. And yeah, once you start getting them in, it would start stemming across state to state, and eventually they'd start losing the power. And if everybody's independent, then who has the power? The fucking voters. Like it was designed to be to begin with,
People make fun of Kanye, but he joined at like the last second, wasn't even on the ballot in a lot of states, and got what, 50,000 votes.
Yeah,
So,
certain states he got almost like 2-3%. Like certain states he did really good, like cleaned up a shit ton
I
of
think
votes.
he did close to 1 million, but I don't quote me on that. I think he did though. I know Joe Jorgensen did like 2 million.
He did like a 1% in New York, I think. And yeah, he beat Jorgensen in some places.
yeah.
Kanye beat Jorgensen in like 2-3 states. So yeah, I mean, that alone shows that if there were a whole bunch of like very influential people, you know what I mean, that people thought had leader qualities, you could easily push it out. People just simply need to stop running as these candidates. And that's why when Shawn has tried to say that he thought Donald Trump, that was kind of his design, I can't agree with that, because Donald Trump had the money and the status to run as an independent, but he chose to run as one of the major parties. So it's like he chose to get himself involved in that system. So I don't really mind publicly being like a non-supporter or being against him, because it's not something he was forced into. He chose to be one of the major two parties. So it's like that I lose any respect I have for him right there out the gate if what he's supposedly standing for is to being against the establishment. Well, then why did you join the establishment, stupid ass? You know what I mean? Like, use all your money and just get in as an independent, and it would be monumental,
I don't think in 2016 with Hillary Clinton coming just off of an Obama presidency, I don't think you could have went in without being one of the two parties and made any type of difference. Because I don't think
honestly, if Hillary was the opponent, that would have been the best year to do it. If he got to a point where they had to let him on the major stage, and think about how he is and how he uses his money in Twitter and shit like that, he would make sure he gets on the final stage. So in a scenario like that, it would be Donald Trump and Hillary and a Republican, because he wouldn't have been. So it would have been a 3-person. When it came down to the finals, it would have been a 3-person. Just like if Joe Jorgensen was projected to get as many electoral votes as those people, then she would have been on stage. You know what I mean? They have to put every party that has a realistic candidate on stage.
I think what would have happened if he had ran third party is the same thing that happened with Kanye running third party. Because Kanye ran third party.
If Donald Trump did it, and he did it from the start and started brewing it a couple years ahead of time, like he basically did anyway, no, it wouldn't have gone how Kanye did. Kanye has no history of doing business
if
things.
Kanye runs again. If Kanye runs again in 2024 as an independent, we'll see. Because if he gets a big percentage of the vote, then that'll change my mind. That Donald Trump was trying to eliminate it with the alternate game plan, just a different mindset. But because I think that's definitely Kanye's goal, that seems like his goal with not running as a Democrat or Republican, with siding with Trump on certain stuff, with endorsing Democratic candidate. A lot of the stuff he's doing doesn't seem traditional. So I think he's on a similar mindset. But I just think if he runs third party again, he'll get wiped out. So I think you'll see him run either as a Republican or Democrat in order to actually get elected. I think you have to at this point. Maybe it may not be that way soon because people are losing faith in both parties. As it stands, people are really divided along these party lines. So it's like radically one way and the other. People are set in their ways and stuff, so they're not gonna, like, a lot of Republican people aren't gonna vote for anybody except for a Republican. A lot of Democrat people aren't gonna vote for anybody except for a Democrat. Enough numbers that's how you win elections. You'd really have to be something for you to
A
win
lot of
over the
people are
vote.
only divided down a party line because that's what they think is the only option. And Kanye showed a lot of people that those weren't the only options. So I think at
Right.
the
I
end
think
of
he
the
proved a
day,
lot this last year. Like I said, he definitely showed that you can make a major push. And once it got to the point, which could already be the next election, when it's at a point where people see that it's a real option, they'll get way more votes because people have been trained to think like that non-Republican or Democrat votes are wasted votes. But once they see firsthand that they're not wasted votes, then the shift will be very obvious. You know what I mean? Like when you start seeing the election numbers come through.
I don't know, I have a conviction in my heart, on my faith or whatever, that Trump was part of God's plan. So maybe that's what it was. Because if I don't think he's going to go past this 4-year term, I think he's done here. No matter, because I think the courts and mainstream media and everybody's against him. So I do think Joe Biden will take over as president next.
Well, Joe.
But I do think that his presidency is going to be pretty trash and really set the way for somebody like Kanye, who just had his big switch to Christianity and doing the Sunday services and talking more like a sane person. I think that it'll open the way for somebody like Kanye to come in and actually make a lot of change. And I think that the Donald Trump presidency had to happen. So whether or not it was a negative or a positive, I think that it was all within the overall scope of getting things to being on a better approach. Because even if Donald Trump in the end, it turns out, was just very terrible and the worst thing that ever happened, if you look back at the economy and the economy wasn't as good as it looked, or if you look at different factors and stuff and Trump just was terrible, even if that's the case, I do think that it put people in a state to where they're ready for change.
Oh yeah, his whole run is definitely prevalent, you know, and puts a whole different swing into the system. I mean, that's true either way. Yeah. I don't think he's sent from God or anything, but I mean, yeah, he definitely created a shift. Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I think he is, but
well, we don't want Shawn to get too deep down a Trump wormhole. So this has been another one. This was a marathon. This was a marathon edition of panels. We had another fun night. We had some interesting combos. Make sure you guys like, subscribe. All the links are below. Check us out on Facebook, Twitter, everywhere that we have all of our material. The cast members' Twitters and all that is listed in there as well. And we'll see you guys next week.